Brought to you by SunWest Genetics.
What's up, potheads and political junkies?
What up?
You're watching Cannabis Culture News Live. Jeremiah here with a loaded desk today. Mr. Cookie in the middle here. Yep.
Stacking it up.
And a Johnny boy, of course.
I'm always sitting here.
And we have some very special guests on the show today. One of our very special guests, Dr. M.J. Milloy, is the Canopy Growth Professor of Cannabis Science at the University of British Columbia. He is here with us now in the hot seat with Mr. Neil Magnuson, who is the founder of the Cannabis Substitution Project, among other things. Good to have you guys here. Dr. Milloy, thanks for being here.
Great to be here.
Very cool to have you here. Obviously, Dr. Milloy, we wanted to talk with you a little bit about what you're doing over there at, with this professorship. I think in particular the study, the access study that's there.
Sure.
We wanted to sort of go over what you've been up to there. I just have a little thing to read here. I'll just sort of give people. You're the research scientist. You are a research scientist at the British Columbia Center for Substance Abuse and an assistant professor in the Department of Medicine at the University of British Columbia. And on January 1st, 2019, you began your appointment as UBC's inaugural Canopy Growth Professor of Cannabis Science. And it says here on the BCCSU website that that's a position that was created by an arm's length gift to the university from Canopy Growth, one of the world's largest producers of legal cannabis, and the government of British Columbia's Ministry of Mental Health and Addictions. So very cool. And I guess since January, you guys have been working on this study, among other things. Tell us a little bit about that study.
Yeah, well, I mean, the study, I became the professor on January 1st, but largely the studies that we've been doing have, in some senses, started much earlier than that, in the mid-1990s. I work on studies called Access and a study called Vitus, which has been in this neighborhood since the mid-1990s, basically trying to help folks who are using drugs. And by this I mean folks who are injecting heroin or smoking crack, folks who are often homeless, often criminalized for their drug use, and often marginalized and stigmatized for that as well. These started off as studies to try and figure out why people were getting HIV. And they sort of evolved into a study of Insight, the supervised injection facility, and how it helps folks. Mm-hmm. And now, since the overdose crisis has started, we've tried to sort of turn our attention to that. And obviously, thanks to the pioneering and great work of the man beside me, as well as others in the community, we've really been turned on to the idea of cannabis. And so we've been trying to investigate through that study how cannabis might help folks who are at highest risk of overdose. And, it's funny to have the title Professor of Cannabis Science. Certainly something that my wife still makes fun of me for. She's like, oh, there's the Professor of Cannabis Science over there. Mark Ware, a good friend of mine, who is also a cannabis scientist, made fun of a lot of CBC because they wanted to call me the Professor of Pot, and he's like, "Hey, let's have some respect here." But beyond the names, it's great to have the title because I get to learn from people who are using cannabis.
You've worked with Mark Ware.
Worked with Mark.
That's excellent because you've done a lot of studies in the past with
Mark's a tremendous pioneer. And this is what I learned as an HIV scientist, is that HIV scientists, we really learned from the people living with HIV, people who were using cannabis to try and help themselves when there were no HIV meds. Mm-hmm. That's really the tradition that I grew up in, and so I'm thrilled to be able to keep learning from people, learn from them how cannabis helps them. And hopefully we can generate evidence, scientific evidence, to show other folks, mm-hmm. To try and figure out what the benefits, what the risks might be, mm-hmm. And really to try and put more tools in the hands of people who are facing the terrible overdose crisis right now.
Well, and a little bit of that, I mean, right now it seems like there's a fair amount of anecdotal evidence being built up. But again, I think that there's some controversy over whether what the studies show, I guess, right?
Yep.
I know there are some in the U.S. and elsewhere that show that cannabis is effective in reducing opioid dependence. What do you think of the current studies that are out there now and what they show?
Well, especially in the States, what a lot of the studies show is that they have compared states with legal access to cannabis to those states without legal access, right? So Washington, obviously a state with legal medical and non-medical, compared to, Missouri, a state without either.
Right.
And what they've done is they've compared things like opioid overdose rates. So how many people in states with legal cannabis die of an opioid overdose versus people in states without any legal access to cannabis. And what they found in the first study, which was the most famous study, found in fact that the places which had some sort of legal cannabis had much lower rates of overdose death, which led people to think, well, that's because instead of people using opioids for pain or for that sort of thing, people are using cannabis instead. We all know you can't overdose on cannabis, therefore that's what's going on.
You can't die of an overdose of cannabis.
Thank you. You can't die of an overdose of cannabis. Certainly, I have experienced
a green out here and there.
We
non-lethal
we
overdose.
call
We
it
call
the
them
pinhole.
greenouts.
Right.
Yeah.
But the
Well,
thing,
in the case of edibles, it's more than just greenouts.
Well,
It's
yeah.
more attributed to concentrates and dabbing.
Yeah.
But in the case of edibles, you can really eat enough that you can be down for a couple, 3 days.
Oh, yeah.
Not able to do that.
And it's pinhole.
but the
Yeah.
problem with those studies is that they don't include people. Right, they look at sort of the population. They compare populations, and it's a much better, from a scientific angle, to talk to people and to hear the people's experiences, and to use that as the basis for your data.
So you did that quite a bit at our project. You had your researchers down there interviewing people and stuff like that. And I guess that's going towards a study that will be released at some point. How close are you to releasing that?
Yeah, so that's a study done by Jenna Valeriani, who's a colleague, and she was doing sort of what we call qualitative work, which is much more sort of in-depth interviews with folks. My studies are a bit different in that they use statistics, and so we follow more than 3,000 people in the downtown east side. We've done that for over 20 years. It's one of the largest and longest running studies of its type in the world, and those are the studies that we are looking to try and understand better the role of cannabis. We published some stuff which suggests that there are benefits. For example, we published a study where we looked at people who were telling us that they use cannabis to reduce the frequency of their crack cocaine use, right? So we started asking folks, we interview them every 6 months. We have a standard questionnaire, and we put all these questions on the questionnaire where we said to them, are you using cannabis instead of another substance, right? Because that's really what we think a lot of this benefit is from,
Right.
folks using cannabis instead of alcohol or opioids or whatever. And when we started asking people the question, that's what I expected to see, was people saying, yeah, I use it instead of opioids. So when we actually began to crunch the data, I was quite surprised to see that the most common substance that people were substituting cannabis for was not opioids, but it was crack cocaine. And then when we looked at the data a bit more closely, we found out that when people were doing that, that preceded declines in the frequency of crack cocaine use. And in fact, in a quarter of the people who were using cannabis to sub out for crack, they said that they didn't use crack at all.
Wow.
So they went from some crack use to no crack use. And so this was one of the first big studies where we found this benefit. And we're working on similar studies like that, showing that there are links between using cannabis. Usually folks who are using cannabis every day, and then lower risk of overdose, lower frequency of injection of heroin, all these sorts of benefits.
So are you distinguishing between the smoked cannabis and the edible cannabis?
Well, that's one of the challenges, is that when we started the studies back in '96, we only asked people, how often do you use cannabis every day? More recently, because we've learned about the importance of the different types of cannabis and the different sort of cannabis use strategies, we've put on more questions. So we're asking folks, what kind are you using? Are you using edibles? Are you smoking? To try and get a sort of a sense of what people's strategies are.
What we learned at the herb school from people that were using opioids and crack and street drugs is that in the smoked form, it really didn't do it for them. It wasn't enough. You can't smoke too much cannabis. You can smoke a couple good grams, and after that, you're just wasting your money. You're not going to get much higher. But in the form of edibles, you can eat too much edibles for sure. It's a whole different process of how the body metabolizes it. And you can be down for a couple of days, not able to get out of bed and all that kind of stuff. So because you can eat too much, you can find that right dose. People can find that right dose. And I personally know dozens of people that report to me that they no longer use any opioids or street drugs, and they used to be highly addicted, and that they're simply using cannabis, and they claim cannabis has saved their life in that respect.
Yeah, and one of the other things that we're learning about is that people are using cannabis in our studies for many different reasons, right? Yeah. Some folks are using it because obviously the environment of the downtown east side is very poor. getting a good night's sleep is very difficult. So folks are using it to try and get a good night's sleep, right?
Trying it works.
People are using it to substitute for other drugs. That's
Yeah.
common, although it's not the most common thing. People are using it for nausea when they're withdrawing. People are using it to address chronic pain. People are using it to address psychological pain. And obviously these things are interrelated, right?
All of those conditions that you've just mentioned that cannabis can be effective for are all conditions that also drive the use of opioids and other street drugs. It's the pain that
Precisely.
they're in that's causing them to continue.
That's precisely it. Yeah, I think the view from folks outside the neighborhood is that people are partying too much, right? They party too much, they overdose.
That's right.
What we know from our data and what you've just said is that people get to the state of using heroin every day because they had a workplace injury, right? And they live in terrible chronic pain because they were abused as children and they have terrible psychological trauma that they're trying.
And
to cope
they're
with.
not getting high school stoned on what they're using at all.
know
They're
what?
maintaining
Yeah.
a level. They're trying to avoid a withdrawal,
Yeah.
but they're not running around all silly and giddy and high on whatever.
Yeah.
That's just not how that's not what it's about.
functioning. It's
It's
called
just to
the
help
way
them
of life.
function. That's right.
I mean, I'll never forget a friend of mine who works at Insight, who's a great man, and he said to me, the thing is, you have to understand that people aren't doing this to get high; they're doing this to feel like themselves.
Right.
And that was such a tremendous insight for me, right? To understand, this isn't, what you grew up in. These people are they're just partying all the time. That's what this is all about. No. This is
Well, and
people
as Dr.
self-medicating.
Gabor Mate so eloquently points out, it's a matter of trying to avoid the trauma that they feel, the loneliness, the hopelessness that they feel, that they're detached from their families and communities, that they've suffered these traumas, and that they're just trying to avoid the feelings that are horrible to them. And
Yeah, that's exactly right.
they're really the abused children of our society, and they're the ones that get scapegoated as the reason why we need to prohibit drugs, because people will make bad choices with drugs if we don't prohibit them.
Yeah.
So it's really horrible.
Right.
In that lineup of being like seriously injured or of
All
being
of
in
them.
arson, and that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
One thing we did in the research back in 2007, 2008, we realized a lot of people in the downtown east side were managing pain, were there because of opioid drugs. They were prescribed drugs, were cut off of
Yeah.
it, and then had to find them. And they're going
That's
down
right.
to Carnegie, buying and trading pills.
They're
that was a
desperate.
big part down there that I was involved with, and I saw a lot of that. And we're doing with commercial healthcare down on them with Dr. Fay, and they did a lot of work down there on the east side with the methadone and stuff like that. So there's been quite a history, and I think back then in 07, 08, it was kind of more of an epidemic and how it's kind of slowly come out of it and stuff. But it's great to see how cannabis is now becoming a huge part of the system, and we're starting to see more and more how it's being how the effects and what you're doing down there is raising that awareness has been just all the way fantastic.
Well, and what Dr. Milloy's doing as well. The rest of them, City Council and the rest of them, they don't give us much respect at all. As cannabis activists, they seem to think that, like you say, maybe we're just all getting, partying too much and we're a bunch of stupid stoners and we just want to get high. And that's certainly not our motivation and what we're all about at all. And it's not a good characterization of us at all. But I find that we really don't get much respect. I don't get much respect at City Hall when I go and talk to the councillors there.
Though lately, Neil, of course, there's been some talk of, this has been an issue that's come up.
Well, they passed the motion, and that's
Right.
the most important. That is the important thing for sure. They passed the motion, and that's all great.
Right.
And we're going to gain respect as we go, but it's been a long process. The reefer madness, the stigmatization of cannabis users has been well entrenched for a very long time, and it's really hard to get that out of society for sure.
Well, and some of that continues with some of the speakers when this motion was being passed. Of course, there was some input from the people that were asked to speak.
I know
to-
what you want me to do, Jeremiah.
Right,
I mean,
Neil, so, I mean,
definitely.
I think we need
we
to
had
get this-
Coastal Health there, and a
Right.
representative of Coastal Health was Dr. Daly.
Mr. High.
Bob
She got up
High.
and started her conversations. Hey,
Bob High's out there. Yeah. Bob High's in the house, in the fishbowl there, in high score. Yeah.
So Dr. Daly began her presentation to City Council referencing Dr. Milloy's work and saying that he found that cannabis was not effective and that his studies that he had come up with said that it needed more research and was inconclusive, but she started by saying it doesn't work. And then she went on to say that she highly recommends that the council do not pass this motion allowing for cannabis on the downtown east side, specifically to target the opioid crisis, because that's a vulnerable population of people with psychosis, and cannabis can trigger that psychosis, and it causes anxiety and all these other things. And another thing she said is that we don't need to hurry up and do this because there's lots of access for people to cannabis on the downtown east side with the black market. So I'm abhorred by that the coastal health would suggest that people go to the black market to get any type of a drug.
Right.
It's precisely why we need a safe supply of all of these different drugs, and
Right.
especially cannabis as well. So,
But Dr. Milloy, can you speak to that? The study, I mean, does that characterize the study correctly?
No, and unfortunately, I didn't see Dr. Daly's comments, so I will have to look those up.
Right, of course.
I'm the first one to say we need more research. I think that's true.
as all researchers say,
Give me a second. Give me a second. I think the kind of research we need is obviously to understand what the benefits are. And yes, she is right in the sense that it is a vulnerable population in the downtown east side. And there are people, I think it's a relatively small handful of people, who might in fact be at risk of developing psychosis. Right. But what we do need to know is we need to know better about the benefits. And the work that we've done has shown...
That's 420, guys. Sorry, had to cut you off.
morning.
Happy 420.
everybody. Light them if you got them.
Sorry. Please continue.
There are priorities. I totally
sorry.
understand. I get it.
Please continue, my friend.
But the work that we have done and the papers that we have published have suggested that there are benefits for folks
Right.
living down there. And that's what we want to interrogate further. If these benefits stand up to clinical trials, then we need to figure out how to optimize these benefits. What's the proper dosage? What's the proper form? Is it better to use edibles? Is it better to use vaped? These are the sorts of questions we need to get at scientifically.
Well, what we've been finding out with the Cannabis Substitution Project is that varies from person to person. That there's different dosages that work for different people, and there's different forms that work for different people, for sure.
And I think that's really the challenge that I see. There's a lot of folks right now in the scientific world who want to pharmaceuticalize cannabis, right? Yeah. Who they want to sort of take it and go, okay, what's the dose of THC in a gel cap?
Take 2 of these daily
And that makes sense because that's the way prescription drugs work in this country and, in fact, in Western medicine. But I'm not convinced that's going to work all that well because of your experience.
Yeah.
Right?
It won't work
And the
that
data that we're gathering suggests some people are using it for pain, some people are using it for sleep, some people are using it for withdrawal. There's a whole bunch of different things, and the dosages and the types are also very specific.
Yeah, at our project, we're designed to offset the opioid crisis and to help people use cannabis as a replacement. But what we're finding is that the reports back to us from all the people are of all the other benefits that they're getting from cannabis. I mean, they're also reporting that they're using less, or in many cases, not using at all the drugs that they were using before. But it's those other benefits. It's that they want to tell me how much they're sleeping better, how much their arthritis feels better, how much their overall health is better. And I can certainly attest to the attitude at Vandu when we're there. 30 months ago when we started this, the lineup of people was fairly down. Their attitudes were fairly down. They were unhappy people. They were in pain. And now it's a really upbeat experience to go there when we're there doing our giveaways on Thursdays and Sundays at noon. Yep. The community that meets there, they're there for a few hours before I get there and my volunteers get there. And they really kind of like each other. It's family. We don't have issues with people squabbling or fighting or anything in our lineups anymore. It's a real nice sense of community that happens. It's a meeting place and a gathering place twice a week at Vandu for about 200 people.
And that's how Insight started, right? Insight didn't start because VCH and other authorities said, hey, we need a safe injection site in the downtown east side. Supervised. Thank you.
There's no safe way to inject drugs.
Insight started because the activists at Vandu started one themselves. Right, and they kept doing it
against what the city was saying they should do.
That's right.
And facing closures by police regularly while they were doing that, and still continuing to open and continuing to do that service until the government said, "Okay, yeah, well, we'll see that works, and we're going to help you." And council brought that up as well, especially when they were interviewing Marianne at the hearings, and said that, well, you people at Vandu, you're right on the front lines. You're living real time, real what's going on there, and many times you do things that aren't allowed because you know it's necessary, and then the governments follow in and understand. And so it's good that they understood that at council. I thought some of the other comments were really important and powerful during the debates amongst the councillors about that motion, where they said that they understood that operators would open up and start supplying cannabis down there if they passed this motion. Peter Fry, the councillor, said that he was concerned if they passed the motion that they would have a bunch of operators opening up to supply that need, and some of them would be unscrupulous because that was their experience with dispensaries in Vancouver. So
yeah. Neil, that phone.
Yeah, somebody didn't turn their phone down.
Yeah, jeez.
and wasn't the new guy.
Yeah.
Wasn't the new guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was going to say that right now.
It's always Neil.
And you know,
Popular guys. Popular guys.
Normally I do.
and I think access is a huge part of the issue, and that's why I think the efforts of Neil and his team are so fantastic.
Yeah.
Because you know,
That was a
I
huge
certainly,
problem back in the day.
I certainly support people in the downtown east side having access to a regulated product. I think that's a great thing. But the problem right now is that the regulated products are so much more expensive than the
They're
unregulated.
over-regulated
Yeah.
by
You know,
so much.
We know from our data that people do not want to pay more than $6 a gram.
Right.
And that's sort of the going rate down there, right?
Well, that's what the Blue Door sells for. They're the
Is the Blue Door still open, though?
They are still open in the face of several different raids over the last
that's what I'd
several
heard.
years. And they had to shut down for about 10 days a couple months ago
Okay.
because the city wanted to convince them to use LP weed. They stood proud and tall and said, no way, we can't do that. We're not going to sell at those prices. And so they're continuing on what they're doing. They say they've got some sort of a grant from the city, or not a grant in the form of money, but to be able to do what they're doing in a harm reduction mode. And that's what we're doing as well with the CSP, and that's what's going to happen now with some other places opening up to have cannabis available for sale. And with the CSP, we're opening up a storefront as soon as we can, where we'll have things for sale for people that can afford it and want to support our project, and we'll have things for free like we've always done, although we're going to do it a little differently, where we register people and we get more information out of them when we give them the meds, and we want to have a sliding scale for people that are low income and have difficulty, to make sure that people get access whether they can afford it or not.
Because the thing I worry about is that was the very model the High Hopes Foundation was using.
Right.
And they got shut down.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
so
they, there was the raid on their tent in the marketplace that the VPD says just happened by chance because some of their officers there saw cannabis on the table, and when no one would admit to having it, they did their thing, and then Sarah decided not to have it there. Well, no, it wasn't so much Sarah as the marketplace itself decided that Sarah couldn't have her tent there anymore. They're still doing what they're doing through their OPS operation, and doing quite well and servicing a good population there with that as well. But that model needs to exist, and that model is not something that is going to be allowed within the Cannabis Act or within what the LPs are contracted to do.
And that's my issue, right? Is I think we have to figure out a way of bridging the two, because I certainly know people in the LP world who want nothing more than trying to get cheap, low-cost, regulated cannabis into the hands of the downtown east side.
Cool.
Right? We've had conversations about it.
But the regulations themselves.
But the regulations
essentially
themselves don't
stop
allow
completely.
it. Right.
You have to
Well,
sell it
and the
for
government
more,
because-
at least as much as you purchase it for, or more, right? That's
And they can't sell it and not have an excise tax
And they
on
can't
it.
promote it for
can't they
medical
donate it?
benefits.
And they can't
their
promote
own-
medical
and
benefits.
The government stores, by definition, are non-medical. By their own definition, they're not medical stores. They don't want to be in that
Can't
market.
they do promo giveaways, or can't they do kind of things
No,
that will
can't
work?
give it
They
away.
can't do anything like
Can't
that,
give it away.
can they?
Not
For
allowed to
unit
give it away.
taxes,
No.
right?
Dr. Milloy,
Because I know
just about the study itself. You're using cannabis in this study?
No. So these are...
This is just statistics.
Yeah, so what we're doing right now is what we call an observational study. So we just watch the world as it is. And so we're getting a lot of really good data.
Yeah.
People are telling us about their cannabis experiences. And through our statistics, we're able to understand what the effects of that cannabis use might be.
Right.
But thanks to the professorship that I now hold, that professorship came with money to do research. And the research we're going to be doing is experimental. So we actually will be supplying folks with cannabis through like a controlled trial, a blinded trial, so that we can. That's the gold standard of medical evidence.
Where are you gonna get your
supplying it
cannabis?
On a natural form, or you can supply it in the standardized form, as in a pill, or as in?
Well, those are the questions that we're trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Right.
And where will the cannabis come from?
They will be. It'll be legal cannabis.
Yeah.
So we'll be working with LPs to supply the product.
Right.
Probably in gel
At that
caps,
point, you'll
then.
be into the edible line too. So
Yeah,
we're looking
probably
at
gel
stuff that's
caps.
decarboxylated, so you can give a pure form or a standardized dose. And stuff
Standardized dosing for clinical trial is pretty much
Right.
pretty crucial. Yeah.
Well, and I would say, because I was going to ask if you had any concerns about the quality of the weed that's currently coming from the LPs, because in terms of our analysis, it's not very good. Yeah, it's not. And it also, there's a lot of pesticides that they're allowed to use, and this blasting with gamma radiation thing, we're not quite.
They're killing
nobody
microbes
really
that
knows.
includes killing terpenes and trichomes.
When
Yeah,
you get
kills-
to a point
kills
of
half
what's
the good
going to be
stuff.
edibles and activated, we're not even looking at
But-
that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Like,
And then there's
the
strain.
cannabis itself.
There's strain
the,
as well.
The quality of the cannabis itself is important when you're doing the studies, I would take it.
They are. I mean, it's quality, and what's most important is reproducibility, so that it's standardized, so everyone gets the same.
Right.
One of the problems, for example,
do it.
in the United States, is that all the cannabis they use for the very few clinical trials they have comes from one farm in Missouri. And they only grow 5% THC cannabis, right? And they send out these giant cigars of 3 to 5% cannabis to use in the studies. That doesn't match what people are using in real life.
Not at all.
So the ability to sort of generalize from the experiment to real life is very limited. What we need to do is to be able to generalize, right? And so if that means using cannabis from an LP that isn't as good as from a craft producer, an unregulated producer, that's one of the compromises we have to
As long
make.
as it's standardized at that point.
What about home grow? It's not really on our radar.
If you have a patient that's able to access and grow their own, you can do a study on
to do
that.
with cannabis, there's so many different strains, and the difference, the vast difference between sativa and indica, and people's different reactions to those things
Well,
is
that's
so
always
individual as well.
piece of the pie.
Yeah.
Different strains for different pains. I mean, here's one thing. They put. I had major surgery in 2016. They took out my C4 and C5 vertebrae. They brought in 15 different terpenes and put it underneath my nose. One took my pain away.
Right.
I literally pull it back to my face and go, "Hey, give me that back." That's
Yeah.
when we really started looking at terpene modulation, how that was affecting my pain so much, and then.
See, that's why we've got all this stuff to learn, right? About the different strains.
Yeah.
It's not going to be as simple as saying, okay, let's just do a 5 mg gel cap of THC and there you
No.
go, right? It's a tremendously complex pharmacopoeia.
You need full spectrum, really.
And that's what a lot of
and
people say.
again,
Yeah.
that from strain to strain, that could change completely.
And from
I'll
crop
tell
to
you,
crop.
From crop to crop, even.
Right, so-
you know, every time I have a joint, it treats me differently in some shape, form, or fashion. So
As we monitor the choices people are able to make with our project, we find that it's a combination of the CBD with the THC that seems to be most popular. Some people just like the THC, and some people just ask for the CBD, and it's an individual thing. But the other thing with the 10 milligrams capping of the potency, 10 milligrams is the right dosage for anybody who has not used cannabis edibles before. That's the place to start. But it's certainly not the place that most people are at, not most veteran users, and certainly not most medical users, and not people that are trying to offset the use of street drugs and opioids. So that's something that we're concerned of, that the edibles within the government stores that capped at 10 milligrams. If people start hearing that cannabis edibles can help them, and maybe they don't have to go out and buy some street drugs, and maybe they can just use that, and they go and get some 10 milligram stuff, they're going to go, that does nothing compared to what that.
No, and that's why we have to do the work,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And so that's why, if best case scenario, for example, let's say we did a study with edibles and we said, 50 milligrams for pain relief, that should be the minimum dose. This is all hypothetical, right?
But
But
fairly
that's
accurate.
the kind of evidence that we need to generate, right? So that people can actually go out and the doctors can say, oh yeah, well here's the study. That's how doctors work, right? They want to
look
be able
at
to point to
studies,
the
how many
study.
milligrams,
What's
what
the
they
milligrams?
use.
This is what they use back here. So this is what I'm, comfortable using.
And where is
And-
the cruise ship going to take me if I sell my threshold?
You know how my colleagues work. But this is hopefully the beginning of a tremendous new area of science and medicine, right? And there's not going to be one of me. There's going to be dozens of me who are out trying to figure out these answers, right? I'll never forget the first time I was on stage as a cannabis researcher. We were getting some funding from a producer, and my boss at the time was an HIV physician, and he treated the very first HIV clients in the 1980 at St. Paul's. And he said on stage, he's like, this reminds, where cannabis science is right now is where HIV medicine was back in the day, right?
What's
Julio Montana.
Oh, Mr.
yeah?
And he said, look, there's so much to learn over the lifespan of this scientist's career and all of our careers about how this stuff works, what the benefits are, who should stay away from it, what the maximum dose. I mean, question upon question upon
So
question.
are you investigating the endocannabinoid system a lot? Is that involved in?
I don't do that directly. I mean, I'm much more in the human trials kind of thing. I definitely understand that this is all goes back to the endocannabinoid system, but I'm a real world kind of guy, right? I want to see. I'm hands-on. What are people
If you want to know
using?
why it's working, I think it's important to understand the role of the endocannabinoid system and how this supplementing it with it.
There are much smarter scientists than me who are figuring that stuff out. I can't go that far.
we have a question right now from the Peanut Gallery over
Yes,
here.
yes,
Mr.
excellent,
David Malmo-Levine.
Before I ask my question, I would like
Malmo-Levine.
to echo my friend's intuition that it's good to, when you sculpt studies, things like Rat Park. Have you heard of Rat Park?
Oh, for sure.
They,
Yep.
they indicate that entheobotanical field work often reveals more valuable information than more contrived studies that have researcher bias inherent in the dosing and strain selection and other choices. But the question I have, and it's kind of a three-part question,
Okay.
and I apologize too because it's pointed, but I'll give you the option of a yes or no answer.
Okay, sure, let's do that.
So to simplify it, anyway,
Okay.
the first part of the three-part question is: would you agree that the prohibition of drugs
Yeah.
does much more damage than any system of harm reduction that we're likely to come up with in both hard drugs and soft drugs?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on what you're looking at, but I certainly start from the viewpoint that how society regulates drugs is much more impactful on populations oftentimes than the impact of the drugs themselves.
Yeah.
And
So-
I think we've done tremendous damage to our societies through the prohibitions of all drugs.
So
That's
then
certainly where I start.
part two of that question is:
Yeah.
would you agree that prescription heroin and full medical autonomy on dosing is the ideal way to distribute hard drugs like opiates, and soft drug ideal distribution system would be like organic fair trade coffee beans?
Yeah, I think for drugs that that carry a risk of death
Yeah.
and addiction, like opioids, we need to better regulate
Yeah.
what we have now. And the reality is, too many people in our community do not have a safe supply of opioids that need them. That's why our friends and neighbors are dying.
There's a lot of
right?
misinformation as well. I think the main regulation that needs to be with all those things is education.
Yeah, I think education is important. Yeah, for sure. So that's what I would say for opioids. To sort of call back my initial comment, I believe strongly we should not put people in cages for using drugs. Period.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That is the root of a lot of the problems we have. A lot of the roots of the overdose crisis is in that reality. So
Or for abusing drugs, or for probably dealing drugs.
oh yeah, no, I don't think it's a solution in any realistic way. So that's my second answer.
Okay, so the third question.
This is the pointed part,
This
right?
is the point. This is
the
super pointed part. It might get you in
This is
trouble.
when you say, therefore, Dr.
I'm
Milloy.
putting you on the spot now.
All right, do it.
By asking you this.
Okay.
Then do you feel a person in your position
Mm-hmm.
is obligated to advocate for prescription heroin in the case of hard drugs and prescription other hard drugs, and the fair trade organic coffee bean model for cannabis and other plant-based medicines when doing interviews in the media, even if it might even piss off the people who give the grants in the first place,
Oh,
who
sure.
rely on a captive market? They, like Canopy or whatever, don't want fair trade organic coffee bean regs for pot because then they lose their exclusivity. But you, on the one hand, to have these pressures that you're getting the money from the guys who need a captive market. On the other hand, you have certain moral obligations to advocate for a much more inclusive market than the captive market. So what will you say when people say, does pot make kids stupid and crazy?
Yeah.
Will you say, yeah, pot's kind of a hard drug, or you say, no, pot's a soft drug, and here's the general population stats?
I don't do the hard drug, soft drug thing. And certainly I have been on record and in public said that the hysteria over the alleged impacts of cannabis on developing brains is largely evidence-free. Right? There's not the science backing up a lot of the concerns around the impacts of cannabis on the
That is
developing
much
brain.
appreciated by our community.
No, and it's true.
Well, actually, what they say about harming the developing brain is a hate crime. I mean, that's saying that
That might be a bit stronger than I would use.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so.
But the
because
second part,
they're saying that people are brain damaged. They're saying that adults in Canada that used cannabis extensively in their youth
We used
are
to hear
brain
that.
damaged. That's
Well,
what that comment basically says.
I'm,
So I find it a hate
dad said
crime.
they got
I don't,
brain damage
I
every
don't
day.
like it at all.
But I just want to go back to the peanut gallery because that's the best questions from peanut gallery I've ever had. I just want to note that.
Oh, that's David.
David's got a lot of them.
I am very proud to work for the BC Centre on Substance Use because a number of months ago we released a plan for heroin compassion clubs so that individuals who are using opioids would have access to a safe supply of heroin.
Should also have access to more education on.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, and in terms of my relationship with Canopy, I'm very grateful that they gave the university the money to hire me. Written into the deal is that they have no influence over the work that I do or the things that I say.
Right.
I think Cannabis has done tremendous work in terms of supporting me and supporting other things. At the same time, they're a part of a regulatory system that I criticize because I think it is at the moment too stringent. It is not going to, in its current incarnation, I don't think, allow us to fully develop the potential of cannabis in the relation to the overdose crisis. That's what we've been talking about. How tough it is for LPs to make an impact on the overdose crisis because they can't distribute their goods for cheap.
Yeah.
What the proper regulatory structure is for cannabis, I think it's closer to coffee than it is to heroin.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, right now we have it more as a controlled substance than as coffee. And I hope that through the evidence that we generate on the relative benign impacts of cannabis on a population level, that will allow the governments to change the system over time. That's one of the reasons we all wanted a regulatory system, is because you can change the regulations.
Right.
Right?
Study teens specifically and see if they hurt their developing minds or not.
David?
That's not really interesting to me. Certainly, there are a lot of
Teens is what David's
other
asking about.
folks who are doing that. I'm really interested in the overdose stuff, right? I first started working in the downtown east side doing the evaluation of Insight. I saw what fantastic work it has done keeping our friends and neighbors alive. I think cannabis has a similar potential, and I think we need to treat it seriously, and we need to generate that evidence.
Other questions from the audience here?
Peanut gallery, peanut throw.
Oh, this is going to be a tough one, too. I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
it's not. I'm not.
You guys are sandbagging
My
me.
bark
Look
is
at this.
worse than my- As I said, my bark is worse than my bite. Twitter makes
that doorway.
Twitter makes me seem scarier than I really am.
That's why I'm off Twitter, because I can't handle it anymore.
It's
I can't
brutal.
handle it.
Twitter is so terrible in
It's a
so
garbage
many ways.
place. It's a garbage
But there's
place.
a lot of good things there too. So I do tweet a lot of good studies. But one of the things I often try to push people to do is to not just say that cannabis might be okay and might be good, but to actually actively promote the heck out of it for medical harm reduction reasons. I used it to get off Fexor, which is a legal pharmaceutical antidepressant, and to stop using cocaine, which is an illegal, very dangerous drug could. And so I've used cannabis to help me with medical and recreational harm reduction. And so I'm very passionate about promoting it as such, where a lot of people, again, they kind of say, well, it might be good for harm reduction. It might be something worth considering. And I just feel that with so much devastation, not just from the opioid crisis, but alcohol. I mean, we talk about it a lot, too, in media and in the public.
Yeah.
But alcohol is hurting so many people, and opioids. So I know you can't really be on the street saying, loud and proud, smoke pot instead. It's like but I do, and others do. But do you think there's a really strong reason to do that? Because even if cannabis isn't scientifically proven to be beneficial, we have so much anecdotal evidence that even a lot of the drugs that are hurting people actually got peer-reviewed, research approved, and scientifically validated somehow through government regulations, but it doesn't mean they're safer and helping people. So I just wonder how much can't you guys just do more pushing of pot, which sounds terrible, but promoting it as the safer choice, and just saying that people will use drugs for fun and for pain, and we need people to use a safer choice, and we shouldn't be taking away access. We should be making it more available or equally available to alcohol, at least.
I think it's a great point. And last year when the Senate was considering the Cannabis Act, we produced a report based on our review of the evidence around the effects of legalization, largely in the U.S. And one of the things we found was that states that legalize see a decline in alcohol sales almost immediately. And that was what we went into. That was one of the things we put in the report, saying, look, guys, as a substance use epidemiologist, the first place you got to start with is the problem in the society is alcohol. The problem in the society is tobacco, right? That, in terms of the cost, in terms of the morbidity, the mortality, that is a huge evil in our society. And so even if cannabis moves the needle just a little bit, it's going to have tremendous benefits for our public health and our public well-being. We said that, we said that. And that report is going to be public. It just got accepted at a journal, so it'll be out in the next couple of months. So I'll give you a copy, and you can promote the heck out of it on Twitter.
That's exciting.
There we go.
Further to what Jodie's saying, will you be informing City Council at all with respect to their motion passing of allowing cannabis down there?
Well, certainly, if there's another opportunity.
You can write them letters anytime.
Oh, I know. We've got a number of studies in the works that once they get through peer review, I am going to look forward to bringing them to the authorities. Things around cannabis access, things around overdose and access to cannabis, which once they get through peer review and there's solid evidence, I'm going to be looking forward to making sure people in Vancouver and at City Hall know about it.
And the first
And
one's
I'll
coming out in
say-
a couple months?
The one that I just referred to with Jodie is coming out in a couple months. Other ones should be coming out hopefully before the end of the year.
I do want to say a thank you because for a lot of the science that keeps coming out with respect to cannabis, it's something that activists have been saying for even decades in some cases, and it only gets taken seriously when it comes from certain people. So while we're at City Hall presenting our studies and the mayor is rolling his eyes, but he'll listen to others saying the exact same thing, but just a different person. So thank you for being that person.
That's what I was referring to earlier.
Oh yeah. I just have one quick question. I'm going to let
Wait
you
a
finish.
second here.
If any of us here got busted, could we put you on the stand and hear what we heard from you today?
I think I would have little use in court. I'm not sure any lawyer or judge is going to listen to me, but if you think I can be helpful...
Hottest pot dog on the block. That's what
Very
Malmo
kind,
said there.
very kind.
And well, it's fair that a lot of people. And a lot of people will be. We got some flirtation going on here.
I know. I'm not sure.
No.
The hard questions, the flirtation. This is way more of a.
But my follow up though, which is really pressing. So you did mention it's true. We all know alcohol and tobacco and even pharmaceuticals are killing people and causing all this harm. Do you think that right now the issue with government trying to overregulate and control cannabis is because for many provincial governments and all across Canada as a nation, alcohol is one of the top, either the first or second or third biggest revenue generator for governments. So when we were at the Supreme Court of Canada on the Como case, which is about a gentleman who went to the province next door, got some beer for cheaper, went over the border, got arrested by the cops in a sting, and it's because in Canada, we're allowed to move goods everywhere with no barriers. But alcohol, for many decades, has had barriers, and provincial governments regulate the alcohol industry. And when we were at the Supreme Court, Cannabis Culture got to intervene with all the dispensaries to say, please don't use that model for cannabis.
Yep.
But governments did. They emulated it so they would control cannabis the same way. Do you think that maybe that's one of the reasons they're trying to take over that way is because financially they admitted in the Supreme Court we're dependent. They said alcohol causes so much harm and we can't pay for all the treatment of that harm without selling the booze to treat the harm. And I thought that's almost kind of sick actually when you have an option that won't cause harm but can raise money to help those who do suffer harm. So it's just interesting. No, it's interesting to think that maybe the government is in a really difficult position because they can't give up alcohol and promoting alcohol and putting it everywhere because they need that money, and that the only way they can sustain that revenue is to switch from alcohol to cannabis. And it seems like that's what's happening. So how do we make sure the government, when they say they're trying to protect our health and safety, but they're actually regulating based on a monetary decision, like how do we switch that up?
Well, I don't know if you want to be taking lessons from me in political activism. I think you've accomplished a hell of a lot more in that sphere than I ever will.
I haven't really made many friends lately. So.
Well, I don't know if this world is about making friends, but
It's not about friends. Yeah.
look, I think it's easy in Vancouver to forget what a tremendous accomplishment cannabis legalization was.
Yeah, for others, they don't get to live on this mountaintop we do.
Yeah.
We've
And-
seen the best of the best.
And there are
I
people
know
in this
that.
room, just as there are people across the city, who did tremendous work dragging Canada to a place where we now have legal cannabis. And it's not perfect, right? You can still get thrown in jail 14 years for giving people joints, right? And that, I think, hopefully will change over time. But I guess my point is that it took a lot to get us here. I think people have to continue to fight to improve the system so that we have a system that we want.
Fighting.
But we have to remember that there are opponents, and not necessarily people who are against cannabis for any real reason, but just because that's what we've all been socialized to think, right?
Well,
and
it's
so
about
we
greed.
know that the government took a very conservative path. They said, look, we're going to do this to fight organized crime and to protect our kids. What you make of those arguments are whatever. But I think it'll take time for the system to change so that it more better reflects what we want it to reflect, right?
That's why you're here. That's why we're here.
And part of that will be scientific evidence.
And I always said, take what you can get and always ask for more. That's my motto in life. It's for every activism movement. I mean, you have a black president, you do not have racial equality. You have women the right to vote, do not have all the other equality. So take what you can get and always ask for more.
Yeah.
So that's my slogan, and I'm trying to remember that more often these days.
Until we're done.
Not being so negative anymore.
Yeah, and we've gone from 2000, where the Supreme Court finally recognizes the right of people to use cannabis medicinally. Now we have big companies who are actually growing it the way that well, we can argue about that, but could be better. But at least there are regulations and there are rules, and there are, we now have a bit of a market. We now have doctors who actually
We
do
now have
authorize
someone
it.
like yourself who has a job, who's studying this with his author. Like, I know.
And so this for me is progress.
Yeah.
And I thank every day the activists who got us to this point. Because without the people that got us Supreme Court decisions, without Hillary Black, who opened the Compassion Club, without the work that's gone on under this roof, we wouldn't be here. So
One person can't
Absolutely.
do everything, but everyone can do something.
I do say
You can convince reporters and judges and politicians, and we're good at getting arrested.
And I always say the glass, some people say it's half empty, some people say it's half full. It's the exact same thing. It can be both at once. So we can say, yeah, it is half full. Isn't that awesome? But it's also half empty, and that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So it's like we can still push for better. And it's true, outside of our little bubble of paradise that we wish everybody else had, for a lot of Canadians, they haven't had this opportunity, and what they have is so different. And it's really, there is still propaganda and stigma, but there's more discussion openly than ever before.
and it's changing.
I was telling Jodie yesterday about, the good side of it is that people can have weed basically on them. They don't have to worry anymore about cops, and there's a lot of that. And she corrected me about
Just
how
don't
there's,
smoke on the
there's
ferry.
more enforcement. There's more enforcement.
Don't smoke on the ferry.
Exactly. And there's more enforcement on the highways with people, and the Cannabis Act is allowing for a lot more intrusions on our rights
people
there.
shouldn't be driving. and
There's more
smoking.
young people are still being caught up in this. We're not sure. We don't have the statistics yet to know how many arrests there are, but there was increase in money for law enforcement and increased laws and abilities to arrest people. So we're not even sure if it's quite better yet, but we're just not done yet. That's all. And this is all part of a process, and that's why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I
Well,
agree.
you say with legalization, there's been more research studies coming out. Are you saying there's going to be a lot more research being dumped into it now?
There is, Mark Ware, who is a tremendous pioneer in this area. It took him years and years and years to do a single clinical trial.
Yes.
And now the rules are different, right? Now the rules more accurately reflect what the risks of cannabis exposure are, right? Back then, they equated cannabis with heroin and cocaine and all these sort of pharmaceuticals. Now the regulations are more in line with the reality, right?
And the reality is it's the opposite of that. It's the opposite of, not necessarily of those particular drugs, but it's not some harmful, dangerous substance that people need to go to jail for if they're caught trying to trade it with
And the other part of it is that the Canadian government is investing in research, right? As a researcher, I would like them to invest more, right? That's what we do. But also LPs are also investing
And then we're
in
going to see what they
research.
do with your research. That's the other thing, is that a lot of times governments get that research and they don't do what they should with it.
Sure.
It doesn't really inform the way it should inform.
No, in 2011, we published a study in one of the world's biggest medical journals about the beneficial impacts of Insight. And yet we had a prime minister who spent the remainder of his term trying to shut Insight down.
Yeah.
How many lives did that cost?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Where would we be right now if people who use drugs had access to Insight when they needed it?
Well, and in all these
Right.
other places across Canada where
Exactly.
it's so
I watched
necessary.
that live at 3 a.m.
About that
John
study,
Conway in
you found some pretty
2009.
remarkable results in that study that you guys did, though, right? I mean, it showed that 35% of the people in the direct vicinity or something, there was a...
Yeah, so we looked at data from the coroners, and we got data from there, and we showed that in the sort of the immediate radius of Insight, rates of fatal overdose went down 35%, and only 9% in the rest of Vancouver over the same period. And huge,
huge.
Yeah,
right?
it's massive.
We did another study showing that approximately 80 lives in the first 3.5 years, 80 overdoses that happened in Insight in the first 3.5 years would have been fatal had they not happened in Insight, right? So those are folks that are still walking around because of a very simple, very cost-effective intervention. Yeah. And we presented the evidence. And the problem is, the Supreme Court said, yep, they're right? Then you go back to the Supreme Court decision, and they unanimously said, right, that insight is saving lives. The problem is we had a prime minister who did not want to listen to evidence. We had a prime minister who had an ideological opposition to people who use drugs.
Particular lives.
We had a health minister who did not care about the lives of people who use drugs. And so those are the things, that's the limit of evidence, right? And I think that's where us scientists have to hand off to people in the community and have to hand off to the activists and say, this is what we know. You got to keep pushing it further.
Yeah. One more here.
There was a study, and you might remember. Yeah, I'll go down where this camera is, I guess. Yeah. Okay. There's a study about young people who are already vulnerable to using hard drugs and moving on to other drugs.
Yep.
And that if they use cannabis, they're less likely to turn to that.
Yep.
So we talk a lot about cannabis being used for harm reduction for people who already have struggled with addiction and are
Yep.
in the throes of that. But what about using it as promoting it as prevention and saying that, again, people should be using it, like promoting it before people even get to the alcohol or hard drugs. So should we be promoting it as that? Like, in your perspective, maybe personally, not professionally, I don't know, shouldn't we be promoting cannabis as, a lot of people are vulnerable and they should definitely use cannabis before they even turn to the other drugs?
Yeah, no, that was our study. So we looked at, I think, about 800 people in our street youth cohort. So these are a lot of people who are living in the Granville, downtown south type area, and found that these are all folks who had not started injecting. And obviously injecting drugs, bigger risk of overdose, of getting HIV. You're almost guaranteed of getting Hep C. And we found that if they were using cannabis every day, they were, I think, 35% less likely to start injecting. And so that's huge, especially when, you look at the gateway hypothesis, which we all know and love, and suggests that, it leads to what I was taught in grade 6. So this is, a very interesting sort of counterpoint to that. I think, whether or not we should be promoting cannabis, I think that study really points out that these are people, young adults, children in many cases, who need help, right? They're living in the streets. They don't have a place to live. They're vulnerable to predation. They're often coming from the foster system, which we know in this province is a shame. We should all be humiliated and embarrassed by the foster system. And what happens? Foster kids jumping out of hotel windows in the valley when they're about to age out. I mean, this is what happens, right? A lot of these people are Indigenous kids, and the shame there that we should feel as non-Indigenous Canadians is huge. Anyways, don't get me on my soapbox, or else I'll get going.
This is what it's supposed to.
But see, I think what that study suggests is that we need to do a better job caring for those kids, whether that's providing them housing, whether that's providing them with the sort of physical and mental care that they need to get by, whether it means providing them with education and employment. I don't think cannabis is a magic bullet, and I certainly don't think that's what our study. I think as a harm reduction intervention for kids who are living on the street, I think, it's preferable that they pick up a joint rather than a syringe. No question, right? But I think the wider picture of what should we promote or what should we try and get for those kids, I think is more to do with their social functioning, with their housing, with all those sorts of things.
I corrected you earlier with respect to a safe injection site because they're not safe and they shouldn't be called that. They're supervised precisely because they're not safe, and it's that young vulnerable population that is it's most dangerous for to refer to it as that, because it's a big decision in somebody's life when they're going to stick that needle in their arm for the first time. And if they think that there's safe ways to do that, they need to know that that's not the case. It's never safe. It's not safe in a hospital. It's not safe when a nurse does it or a doctor does it. There's no way you stick a needle and inject something into your being that it can be called safe. What they are is safer, and that's very important because when they're so dangerous that you can die from that. So it's great to have them supervised, and we need those places because of that when people are going to do that. But it really sends that wrong message to those people that have not yet injected drugs that might be considering it because they're in that type of pain or in those types of situations that really there's not a safe way to do that. This is a dangerous thing.
That's right.
And to have cannabis as an alternative to that, and to have good, strong cannabis, like edibles that you can take or concentrates and dabs that you can do, where you can get as much erased from whatever it is you're trying to escape from or to wherever you want to be. You can do that with these other forms of cannabis, and you have to be careful about how you use edibles, but it's not going to kill you, and you have to be careful about how you use dabs, but they're not going to kill you. So, it's a much better alternative to people understand that they can get as far as they want to get in the cannabis world without having to go down that road of being, sticking needles in their arms and stuff.
No, I agree.
One of those. Johnny's getting a treat here. Anybody want one of these things?
Oh,
yeah.
Now we got munchies.
Stoners for stoners from Mr. Cookie, I think.
Yeah, from a spot.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate having you on, my friend. And
it's been great.
It's very cool to talk to you about all this stuff because we've been hearing about this study and
Sure.
everybody's kind of excited. So, sorry, again, the date when the main stuff starts coming out?
Well, I mean, we've been publishing stuff every couple of months for a while. We
Yeah.
probably published about a dozen papers so far.
Cool.
We're going to
Any of
continue.
those of interest to us? Like we should be.
Oh,
should
sure.
be
I can
allowed to
share. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll have to get those and make sure we share them.
Yeah,
around.
no, I'm happy to share.
Cool.
We've got more coming out, both about sort of cannabis and harm reduction, as well as sort of access and what that means for folks. Jenna's work with your organization is going to come out soon, and I'm looking
Cool.
forward
I'm
to
really looking forward to that,
reading
too.
that because it's a huge. Again, going back to the whole idea of the bubble, we have to remember that what Neil is doing in many places would be impossible.
Oh, for sure.
Right? Would never be allowed. So I think what we have to do as scientists is document it and share it with the wider world so that the other Neils out there and the other sort of community-based activists...
There are some going on for sure.
Well, and that's great because we need more to really figure out
Well,
what's
Jack
going
in
on.
Victoria, are you aware of his
Jack
work?
in Victoria?
Yeah,
I
I
just
mean
talked to
that's
him.
an extension of our project in that he was one of the board members at Van Du and liked what we brought there and took it to Victoria, and Jack runs it over there. They have a little different structure than us that I really appreciate, and we're going to move towards where they're not just we're twice a week, they're 5-6 days a week. People can come and choose what they want to get them through to the next 2 or 3 days, and that really helps as well. And they gather more information from their people than we're able to so far with ours, although we are trying to keep up with them there. But they run it over there. Probably they're getting really close to their second year now of running that project. And I think he said they're giving out about 300 packs per day.
Wow.
At
So it's
this
every
point.
day.
It's 5 or 6 days
5 or
a
6
week.
days a week,
They're
yeah.
there for
Yeah.
4 or 5 hours a day. I think that they've got a
last
catering,
time I talked
they
with
open
Jack-
up the sandwich board windows.
No way. Oh, really? Yeah.
And they're in behind, and people can just choose whether they want, this edible or CBD or THC or in what form they want it in.
They
And
have
so
a
get
problem
much
getting
better-
They have a problem getting the cones and stuff like that. So they're
Oh,
trying
do
to
they?
get more into getting into these bigger machines so they can actually supply more because
Right.
they're having problems supplying. That's why I'm talking with
Oh
Jack
man,
about
rolling
this.
papers and cones are
Like,
so hard
I mean,
to come by these
they're
days
like, we
because
need
they're being scooped up
10,000
everywhere.
cones
That's
because you
true.
can't buy them because right across the whole country, everybody's buying cones and pre-rolls with the
Everybody
LPs.
wants joints.
Yeah, everybody wants joints.
Everybody wants joints.
Yeah.
And
You
and
roll
it's,
it better
just,
than
it's
the
actually
cones,
quite
though.
amazing, like you're saying, the amount of work that Jack is doing on the island because I have been talking with him and seeing what you're doing and stuff. But I mean, these are all the things that we seem to come that are blocking us is we can't get these access. We can't even get the papers so we can actually roll the cannabis to give it away.
Yeah.
Come on, I mean,
Yeah.
I
isn't
can't
that
get
Such a
ridiculous?
simple thing,
I
right?
can't
mean,
get the papers
yeah.
I want.
Yeah.
I used to
So
smoke
we
in.
were looking at getting even into different companies, but you know what? They don't work with the future roller machine. So
Right.
there's a blah 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 blah.
I like to smoke in blacks. I think they're excellent, and I would use those all the time. And I used to buy them in the 300 packs for the CSP for our holy rollers to roll, but just can't get them anymore. And so I'm using the raw, which are all right. We don't mind the raw, but I really like to smoke in blacks better. But can't get them because they can't keep up with all
supply.
the demand.
So that's why I
across
picked.
the
I got
country
these.
here
They got
for
the
papers.
folded corners. They're like the zigzag whites.
So you just gave me this for the
yeah,
CSP?
100%. I'll give you a
Thanks,
couple
Johnny.
boxes,
We've used
please.
these before. It's
There
not the
you
first
go.
time
I
you've
use them
given
like
us these.
crazy. I keep giving them away. Why? Because
Johnny's got thousands of those things.
I bought them purely for that reason. Is because I have so many people who are medical patients who use machines and they can't roll with all these really thin papers.
Yeah.
They have nothing but difficulties.
Yeah.
And when I started using this paper, it burns white. It's nicer, easier to roll. And yeah, I'm giving it away to people like
Well, Johnny,
yourself
this is not the first time you've given the CSP a donation, and there's a whole lot of people that have given us donations over the last 2.5 years that we've been doing this. And we're coming up on Sunday, day after tomorrow, 200 times we've gone to Van Tu in the last 30 months
Cool.
and given out hundreds, and in this case now we're giving out thousands every time we go there twice a week. We give out about 250 to 300 care packs consistently for the last
I see
few
the
months.
lineups. I see the lineups. I see the happiness in the lineups. I see the people who are
Yeah, it's a
volunteering.
wonderful thing.
It's just follow you guys on Facebook. I see it all the time. You always see me liking the work that you
So
do.
yeah, 200 times coming up on Sunday. Come on down and see us if you haven't checked out what we do there. It's a great crowd of people.
And
that
that's
comes.
the story of harm reduction, from needle exchanges to supervised consumption. It's just the community seeing something that needs to be done and getting it done.
Yeah.
And
We
so
still don't have-
then us dumb scientists get involved.
And we kinda just
Well,
got
the thing is,
Right,
the
I
people
mean-
that truly needed help are the ones helping
yeah,
themselves.
exactly. Yeah.
Dr.
We
Milloy-
tell everyone what everyone already knows. Yeah.
So
yeah.
we kind of just got approval a couple of weeks ago from City Council that at least they've approved the idea of having cannabis in the downtown east side, but we've been doing that for 2.5 years.
That's far from
And
approval.
So,
Yeah.
we've been down there doing it without approval, but at this point we've got some of their support by the looks of it. In fact, I was
Yeah.
told by Rebecca Bly that the councillors have our back. And I really
Well, that's good
appreciate
to
that.
hear.
It's very important, and we're going to move this forward. So,
Yeah.
200 times. Very, very thrilled about that. It's amazing, really. I kind of have to pinch myself most of the time when I'm driving there on a Thursday or a Sunday and think, am I really going to go there and give out like 1,200 edibles today to people?
I can
And
just
look
sit
what
on the side
happened,
and
yeah.
just hand out illegal drugs. That's not illegal, but it's illegal. But
It's a
yeah.
beautiful position to be in.
Neil,
There you go. There you
you're-
go. Just like when we had the
But-
herb school
but-
back in the day, you're dealing with people who are so happy to be, and we were, our main population at the herb school at Maine and Hastings back in 2004 was the people from that community that were using those hard drugs and would sit there and curl our hair with their stories and bring tears to our eyes with thanking us for being there, to giving them access to what we had
But what
going
you're
on there.
doing, Neil, is you're doing research into United Nations law. Cannabis is used for research and scientific purposes, and
That's what
and
we're doing.
and that's what you're doing. You're doing research. You're giving it for people who are in need of it for their health. So in reality, I mean, you're legal. In my
I'm
opinion.
told by our internal media that we have well over 100 of these videos of people telling their stories about how it's working for them and how our
That's
project will
awesome.
help them.
Neil,
really
you're a
good.
truth teller because when you first showed up here long ago, when did I first meet you? This is
You
going
met me in
2004. Is it 4 or 5? Because I showed up in 2004.
Yeah.
So you were one of the first people I
saw you
remember.
at a protest rally for the Justice Minister Nicholson that was happening outside the
Bayshore.
the Western Bayshore downtown Vancouver. You were there in a dress holding a sign above your head for what must have been an hour and a half. And I'm wondering, as a person involved in athletics and sports for a lot of my life, I'm wondering how this young lady is managing to hold that sign above her head.
That's my activism
That's not
exercise.
easy to do.
There's 3 different moves. You got your activism protest, and then you've also got, if you got a bullhorn and you do a march like the Global Marijuana March and you yell the truth for an hour on end, your abs will your guts are like solid.
You know what? That's why I have good abs.
Yeah, and then the
But I didn't
third
know
one.
you, and you were doing
Yeah,
this,
no.
and my God. So.
No, the third move, dodging the cops. Well, jumping back and forth. But you showed up and you were doing a freedom tour, and you did this freedom tour where you went across Canada and you were always rollerblading and you had your long
Freedom tour.
ponytail and you're always going and telling the truth all across
Oh, I only
Canada.
had the ponytail for the first year.
Well, and then
Second year, I cut it all off because I knew
You had the van.
it wasn't getting me the
Yeah.
respect I wanted in the mayor's office and the police stations.
but I'm just going to say, over the years, you have become one of the most eloquent, knowledgeable, articulate, passionate
Jodie.
speakers. No, I'm not joking.
Yeah, you have
Like,
one.
man, you excel.
thank
you. You're
You really
dedicated.
do. You do excellent work.
100%.
So thank you.
I think
Just try
everybody
to
in this
help,
room
you know?
has dedicated their lives to the plant and to helping people.
I used to have. I had
I
a
don't see anybody
daytimer
here
for
who
a long
hasn't.
time. I was a bit of a businessman before I quit my job in 2004 to start doing this, and I had in my daytimer all the time that I just want to add value to every situation I'm in and every person that I meet. But in 2004, when I started the herb school there with David, doing the renovations on that, and during that long weekend side job renovation for me, reading The Emperor Wears No Clothes at every safety meeting every 45 minutes or so, and learning the truth about things, I changed what I put in my daytimer every year, and I put that I want to help with making cannabis legal around the world. And that became my real focus, and for good reasons, because it's such a horrible crime against humanity in our world to have cannabis prohibition, over-regulation, all of that stuff is just a horrible, horrible crime. And I think that for me, it's not about cannabis and the ability to get high or smoke cannabis or even use it medicinally. It's about the core of freedom, that people as adults have the right and they deserve to be respected as individuals to make their own choices about what they put into their bodies and how and the whole idea that you can tell somebody what to put in their bodies and that they're a criminal if they do this and that. All that does is drive people to do those things. It increases the demand. It guarantees an unregulated underground market that's more dangerous the more you try to enforce your way out of it. So many of our societal problems, so many of the break-ins, the petty crime, the health problems that people have are driven by prohibition. And so to end prohibition, I think, and cannabis is the first, and then from there we get the rest, because prohibition in general does not work. It doesn't work for any of those drugs any better than it works for cannabis.
Yeah.
And so to end prohibition will, I think, be the linchpin that gets us the rest of these freedoms that we need to have as people, that will sort out our society and end all this petty crime and solve people's health issues and stop, people suffering so badly without the ability to get access to things that will help them, that they turn to the streets and they get preyed upon by drug dealers and they get killed by tainted drugs. And that's all happening only because of prohibition. Prohibition is what's killing people. Prohibition, there'd be no fentanyl overdose crisis if it wasn't for the government's attempt to tell people what they can and cannot put into their bodies.
Yeah.
So that's what drives me. I got so pissed off.
There you go.
By the third day of that renovation, I got to say one more thing. By the third day of that renovation, I got so pissed off at these corporate elite rich bastards, what they were doing to protect their money interests, that I quit my job, and that's what I've been doing since. But I'll tell you, I've never woke up a day less pissed off than I was that day, because we're not there yet, and they're still doing that to us, and we still need to fight these bastards at that core level of what's right and wrong and what freedom's all about.
Dr. Milloy, I wanted to ask you about the studies you were talking about, the 12 that you guys have already done. Are they available for people to find online somewhere?
Yeah, so if you go to PubMed, which is the big library of medical knowledge, and they type in my name, Milloy, Milloy. I think the only Milloy in the spelt that way in PubMed, and so they'll get at least the abstract, the resume, the summary. I can give you my card, and people can put it on the camera, and they can email me if they want a copy of the full study.
Okay.
Happy to share that.
Cool.
Great.
Yeah, we can put it in the show notes for people. And then, definitely.
There you go.
Very cool.
Upside down.
Yeah, because I think it is important that people get access to the evidence. These are all the work that we do is public funded by publics, funded by the public. There we go.
We'll do it in the show notes.
There we go. What's the focal distance here?
Yeah. It's all right, Johnny. We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
I tried.
No,
it's my card. Don't get that. Okay.
Yeah, here, we'll throw it.
And also, if folks go on the BCCSU website, there's also a listing there.
Yeah, nice.
Of
Excellent.
as well. So that's bccsu.ca.
Right.
Yeah, there's stuff
And
there.
just, to breeze through some of those 12, or just tell us a little bit about even what a few of the key findings in some of those were.
Well, again, I mean, these are studies based on the data that we collect from about 3,000 people living in Vancouver who use drugs.
Yeah.
These are folks who are marginalized, who are criminalized. They live in the downtown east side primarily. They are at very high risk of overdose. They're living with HIV, or they're at risk of HIV. And what we found are statistical associations between using cannabis every day, generally, and various benefits. So one of them was, as Jodie talked about, lower rates of people beginning to inject drugs. Mm-hmm. We also saw the crack cocaine paper that folks are using using cannabis to try and substitute, and apparently successfully in some cases. So that is another thing that we want to follow up with. We've also found that folks who are using cannabis every day are injecting less often, and especially if they're living with chronic pain, they're also less likely to inject. So obviously that's a big risk in the current environment for overdose, and so that we think is another benefit. So there's a whole bunch of papers in that sort of vein.
Looking into sleep deprivation at all?
So we've started asking people about their sleep quality, because we believe that's an important part of the picture in the downtown east side. Folks have terrible living environments. That's what drives a lot of the drug use. They're homeless. They have to stay up to protect their property. They use methamphetamine. They want to sleep. They use cannabis. They're also very malnourished. So that it's a complex picture, but we think sleep is a very important part of it, and so we want to try and understand that as well.
We've been giving out capsules at the CSP that are high in CBN. And
right.
Great reports back on how it's helping.
Great for sleep.
Yeah, and that's very interesting as well.
Great for sleep.
The minor cannabinoids and what benefits
also,
they might have.
I think what I was going to say, what worked really well for me, because I was on heavy opiates due to I fell 20 feet on the concrete, was actually mixing converted forms of THC with natural amino acids like natural GABA that helps slow down pain control, and tyrosine and stuff like that. So more to talk about that D-phenylalanine.
It's fascinating stuff.
Yeah, it was a lot of really good things that we worked on with Green Cross, and actually it's published on why amino acids work. Understand the neomatrix and the cannabinoid system, and plus there's standardized natural cannabis and pain management, compassionate closed study, and that was back in 2007, 2008.
Awesome.
We did a lot of research with methadone
Okay.
and opioids, because that's what a lot of people who were managing chronic pain were on heavy opiates. And a lot of people ended up down the east side because they were cut off the pharmaceutical drugs, so they were looking for different kind of drugs, and we started seeing this repetitive kind of thing, working with Vandu and stuff. So.
One of the studies we did actually looked at folks who were beginning treatment for opioid use disorder, so often methadone. Now we have Suboxone and some other drugs. But what we found was quite interesting was that folks who were starting methadone, they were 20% more likely to still be on methadone at 6 months if they were using cannabis every day. And that's a good thing, right? We want people who are starting methadone to stay on methadone because that's how we make sure they don't overdose, so they don't get HIV, or if they're living with HIV, how they stay on their HIV meds.
Right.
And a lot of doctors are like, well, if you, when you're on methadone, often doctors require that you do a urine test every week or every month. And unfortunately, a lot of doctors see THC and they say, well, it's time to take you off methadone, which for me is crazy. But anyways, so what we found is, in fact, instead of THC or cannabis being a barrier complicating their treatment, in fact, it was helping their treatment course. And that's, that's one of the big questions down in the downtown east side. We have methadone. Not as many people are on it as should be on it. We need to do a better job of providing care for people who have addiction to opioids. Maybe cannabis is a big part of that. Obviously, your experience, a lot of experiences that we hear from, is that it is possible. It would be great if, through our evidence, if it continues to develop, as I think it will, if we could integrate cannabis into those treatment plans for people. So they could be able to say to their doctor, yeah, I want to try and pair my methadone with some gel cap of cannabinoids to see if that will help me stay on the methadone more effectively. So these are another one of the questions that we think, we really have the chance now to really actually investigate.
There's a lot of angles here too. So
tons of angles.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
There's
well,
so
Is
much
there anything
research
else
and so much
that,
more.
that you think you'd like to know about with your studies, things that you found?
Yeah, anything else to point out before we...
No, I think that it's, people should go out there and we covered a lot of it. Cool. They should check it out.
We will.
Oh, yeah. And
for
if people
sure
want a copy of the papers, just email me. I'm happy to provide that, or if they want to chat.
Well, and we'd love to have you back again.
That'd be great.
That'd be cool. Once we dig into the studies a bit, we'll have more to ask you specifics about.
It should be awesome.
And we've got studies coming out in the next couple of months. Maybe I'll shoot you some advanced copies, and if you're interested, we
that
can...
That would be fantastic.
We can talk about that.
Very cool.
I want to
thank you very much, my friend.
Thank you very much
for coming on. Yeah, and people can find out more about you, I guess, on the website itself. Here, I'll make sure I give that away here. We'll put that in the show notes as well. That's the BCCSU website, I guess.
Go there or go PubMed and look me up.
Yeah, awesome.
We're also hoping to do some community events in the downtown east side in the next little while, so folks can come out and ask questions.
What does that look like?
Well, we're thinking of doing something at the Carnegie, and sort of talking about the research that we're doing. Talk about the questions that we want to ask, and hear from the people in the community. What do they think we should be doing with our time?
We did some talks at Carnegie back in the days, and talking on that had to do with back in the days with HIV and cannabis for actually helping with I guess their prescription drugs.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Dr.
Thank you.
Dr.
Thank
MJ
you.
Malloy. Appreciate it. Canopy Growth, Professor of Cannabis Science at the University of British Columbia. And check him out online there, the British Columbia Center.
For 200
events.
That's awesome.
Magnuson.
And it's all run by volunteers. I got a team of about 15 really amazing volunteers. The Holy Rollers are there. Now we got the BC Bud guys there for the last few months.
I got to meet the Holy Rollers. I think they're...
Come down to Van Du, man. I'll tell you, it's an awesome thing to go to see what we do there. I'm kind of... Like I said, pinch me every time I'm there. It's an event. It's become quite the big event.
You found your calling.
So, well...
You can see the people in the lineups.
He's good at
over the
he's got a
months,
few.
you've seen the crowds grow, the smiles, the happiness. You could just see it and just all your postings over the months.
The reason it happened was because of my experience at the herb school, recognizing that people that were on these drugs would get off them with cannabis edibles. That was what we learned at the herb school. So then when that happened, I went to City Hall. But it was also in response to the city deciding to regulate out of business most of the dispensaries. And one of the regulations was no edibles. They took away 7 revenue streams from all these dispensaries, and that was one of them. And that's outrageous because people really need edibles for medical and for overdose crisis when that was going on. My intention with the CSP originally was to get edibles back into dispensaries, to get cannabis recognized as a medicine, so that because these people are going to benefit in a lot of other ways besides just getting off.
That's why the dispensaries first opened.
Everybody in Canada that's on disability should have the ability to choose cannabis as a medicine in all of its different forms. It would save our medical system a whole lot of money if cannabis was one of the options that would be paid for on Medicare. But yeah, it's taken 30 months, but now finally we're getting some recognition by the city for what we're doing, and they're going to support research into it, and they're going to allow for cannabis to be dispensed down there, and we're going to continue to do what we're doing, of course, And others will now come and find ways to dispense cannabis down there in line with what the city passed as well. So that's really awesome. But this was the intention all along, was to try to get cannabis recognized as a medicine so dispensaries could have high-dose edibles available for people.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm pretty thrilled with it all. But it wouldn't happen without the people that donate. Some amazing people that donate. The Medicinal Cannabis Dispensary has been with us since the beginning, and there's a whole bunch of others as well. I don't want to start mentioning them because I'll forget a bunch.
No, we don't have time for that now, Neil, but yeah, we have more guests awaiting the show.
All the people that donate made it happen to this point. 200 events on Sunday. Come and see us at noon at Van Du, 380 East Hastings.
There you
That's
go.
if you need
Neil Magnuson.
heavy.
There you go. Thank you,
Thanks,
Neil
Neil.
Magnuson and Dr. MJ
Thanks,
Milloy. Appreciate you guys big time. And so we've got another special guest here, another couple special guests. We got Jeff Lundstrom's in the house from Skunk Funk, and we've got
the future of the cup may be at some sort of risk.
Oh yeah, so we do. There is
my recent developments.
There is a threat to the prairie.
Recent developments at
Turmoil,
Skunk
bro?
Funk. So as everybody knows, we had a pop-up farmers market before I left on June 16th.
How'd that go?
It went well until 3 days ago when the police showed up
with the
at
warrant?
my shop.
Was it Saskatoon Police? Or
Three plainclothes officers plus one Saskatchewan Liquor and Gaming Commissioner, who Chu said looked pretty greasy as a human being. So,
Oh no.
and they
Chuno's grease.
So they threatened my employee and scared him into saying that they could do whatever they wanted under the Cannabis Act. So they're saying that they don't need. I said, well, are you going to search my belongings? Are you going through my stuff? Like, what does that look like? Because if so, I need to call a lawyer. And they're like, well, we're just here to see if you're selling any cannabis in our store, which of course we do not, right?
Right. No.
But then they instructed me that upon arriving back home in 2 weeks, that I'm to then go find the lead investigator and turn myself in so I can be ticketed
Bullshit.
under the Cannabis Act.
Bullshit.
Well,
That's
of course,
ridiculous.
no. My lawyer already said,
Let 'em find you.
Let him chase me.
Yeah, why
But-
would they? I mean, why wouldn't they just send you a letter?
Well, why wouldn't they try to
Malarkey.
contact me professionally? Like that's
Why
what
did
I
they
asked
show
them.
up there for the pop-up market.
Well, because
Yeah.
they didn't know about it. They claim.
This is so they.
That's so
So
sad.
Jeff, they
You
saw
lose.
this on your Instagram or something. Your
I
online
think it was
store?
actually Sterling's. We're thinking Sterling. 'Cause
Sterling's.
Sterling's been under some scrutiny lately, and he's been
Right.
doing a lot of plugging, had no joints outside of Tweed
Yeah.
and other recreational.
Yeah, the heat must be on.
Right. So I think, and I mean, we had a big head when we did our thing at Tweed, right? Like, I mean, Tweed's opening day in Saskatoon, we handed out 750 free joints. So if you don't think that pissed
I
off
know,
some
that's so
Good
awesome.
corporate ass clown,
It was.
to then
We had
flex-
Sterling on the show. It was hilarious.
right? Then flex their balls on me. Like
Yeah.
I didn't sell one lick of cannabis at the cannabis
No.
market, not one. Yet I'm being convicted under the Cannabis Act for selling cannabis.
Well, so they say, but they haven't done it yet.
Turn myself in for a fine. But I mean, what the
For
fuck?
what? For what? A
the
private
fuck-
event after hours that wasn't you even? Like,
That's what I'm saying.
No, you're not. There's no
Turn this
case
in,
against
eh?
you. It's ridiculous.
Well, I told them, I said, whatever they saw online was us medical marijuana patients gathering together to gift each other cannabis. I said,
Yeah.
no money exchanged hands at all.
Yeah,
So,
but shit, even if there was and you had nothing to do with it, they can't go after you. They have to go after the people who were selling it.
well, they're coming after me.
Yeah,
It's like Big Jeff lives in
they don't know
Saskatoon.
what
They're
the-
like, let's go
let
after
him
him.
try.
through now, have they?
Let him
I
try.
personally think they haven't thought that one through.
Yeah.
Bunch of MFers.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, my lawyer did say let him chase me. So let him try to come find me. I mean, I'm not around now in Saskatoon back till September 9th when I'm to head home and head up for the Prairie Cup.
Yeah.
But I'm worried about the Prairie Cup. Like, I'm not going to lie. I'd say if they're willing to come down on me over a farmer's market, a pop-up market.
that's
what
really
are they-
weird.
What are they willing to do over the Prairie Cup? Because we have
Showing
done...
it in RCMP territory there, with the school down the street, that the Prairie Cup could be a target.
Them
Yeah, but
cowboys
I've
there.
been
Like that.
8 years, but there was no Cannabis Act.
Mm-hmm.
There was just their bullshit rules and regulations before.
Well,
Now
Broke the
it's-
fuck out of those.
Well, but
Yeah, but
are you
they
selling
had
weed
less-
at the Prairie Cup though? I mean, you're
No, I just organize it.
right. So then they don't,
But
what do they got against you then? You're giving it away, I guess. If you're,
I think they want to come after the cannabis leaders, the people that have stood and they know that I'm the face in Saskatchewan.
It's true.
And everybody knows that. Like it's
Saskatchewan's a
yeah.
small town.
And the police clearly used their bully tactics because my employee said he was scared.
Yeah.
They came in and said they could do whatever the fuck they want. We have a big sticker on the door that says no police or police agents allowed in our property without a warrant.
Right.
And they just laughed at that.
Right.
Said the Cannabis Act trumps that.
Yeah.
Now my lawyer says differently, but that didn't stop them from saying those things. So the Nazi type of behavior towards cannabis prohibition still exists in 110% in the form that it is. Like it's not like they changed the rules and they legalized, except regulated new rules to enforce their continued bullshit. It's insane that you take one policy that should have never been enacted as a law in the first place, adapt it to something else completely later in life, and then just fuck you again twice. So also that they can take over the marketplace and line their own pockets with it. I just don't
And if
agree
they don't
with
like your
that.
store, they can put concrete blocks in front of it. And here in
Yeah.
BC, if you open a dispensary out of the system, it can be a $5 million fine for all the babies you rape and murder in that place. I mean, who the fuck do these people think they are? They can protect.
We're removing the concrete blocks on a private message. We're removing the blocks, John. I'm like, good for you guys, because I
But I mean, just for what? Why does it take that? Is that they'd want to stop it so bad? And the best thing, I was at Ted Smith's place. That's why I was late getting here today.
How's Ted?
Ted is wonderful. What a wonderful human being. But he's a very intelligent man, and he said they're not going to stop doing what they did just because they changed it to make it their rules, and they did that so that they could take over the marketplace.
Yeah.
That's how you push drug dealers out. Have you ever pushed a drug dealer out of a block?
Yeah,
it's because you showed up. The problem is they don't have better weed at cheaper prices.
Right.
So if they want to get rid of the black market, you better start growing real good fucking weed, and it better be $2 a gram.
Exactly.
So until then, the black
warnings in
market,
packaging.
the black
Okay, here's
market
the whole
ain't
thing.
going anywhere.
the black
No,
market
of
isn't
course
ever
And
going to go anywhere.
I'll tell you
because of
this:
those
if
reasons.
they take away my store and my livelihood and my life, I'm going to become the biggest fucking pot dealer anybody in Canada has ever seen. I'm going to go grow it. I'm going to go sell it, and I'm going to sell it to high school kids only, under the age of 18. Yeah, that's where the new money's
Fuck,
going to be.
man. I mean,
They
there
want-
you can cash in.
So, yeah,
Well,
who cares?
Good on you.
Like I don't know what else to do. I'm at this point.
I'm with you, man.
I'd chain myself to a parliament building if I thought that would change things.
Well, and I mean,
We
these
tried that,
guys-
doesn't
these
work.
guys are probably just talking tough. You know, these guys who came to the store.
They
They've
always
been-
talk tough. That's their
Yeah,
big
the
bully
BC
tactics,
the
right?
BC
These days
equivalent
they
has
know
been
they got
around.
more weapons. They're using fining people instead of threat of jail. They're using all
Yeah.
kinds
But I
of
hate that.
economic
That's-
sanctions and shit. They
That's
can do.
mob mentality. I won't find you
fucked up.
criminally responsible. I'll find you financially responsible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, which one's fucking worse?
Yeah.
Sitting
Well,
behind
right.
bars or being financially crippled so you can't even feed your kids
right.
or close your back.
And if you
know,
don't
like-
pay it, they put you behind bars.
Yeah, anyway, so what
Yeah.
the fuck does it matter? Like,
Yeah.
They're ruining your life for doing nothing that hurt anybody.
Has a victimless crime.
Yep.
Still
Damn
has a
situation.
victimless crime.
Yep.
So please tell me how we're legal.
Yeah.
Someone please tell me this bullshit. Luckily, I
no,
hope
we have commercialized THC. We have not legalized marijuana.
commercial and regulated.
Yeah, you
THC.
commercialize.
It's what we have done. We have
100%.
totally commercialized THC. We have not
No, you
legalized marijuana.
commercialized some really bad weed.
But the problem is
That's
that
just the
we
best way of
voted
saying
for
it.
the liberal excuse to do this. It's insane.
Hey, we
Well,
fought for legalization,
can't grow four
and we
plants.
got
There's
it
that.
now.
There is,
Hey.
you can grow some plants. You can have
But
weed in
over
public,
time, we're
you
gonna
know,
keep fighting.
and we're gonna win this.
We'll
It's-
see if the
it's a
arrests are
process.
down. I'd like to know more about.
I got to
how
bring a
the
joint
arrests are
over
at the
to
moment. You know,
Funk Dubious.
our
He's
cannabis
in the-
arrests
in
going
the
down, but like we were
rainforest.
talking about, the arrests
Jeff's
for
joint.
people having weed in their vehicle are going up.
Yeah, Skunk Funk. We got Funk Dubious in the house.
Yeah, that's right. So we haven't announced that yet, but we have another very special guest, Son Doobie of the legendary hip hop crew Funk Dubious is here. Yep, and because he's performing this Saturday at the Kick Cancer's Ass Wet and Wild 720 event
Nice.
at the Big Splash Waterslide Park in
Oh, man.
Tsawwassen.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's
Going to be
Water park at
Gonna
night.
be epic.
Nice.
So yeah, I think we should make some.
Actually, we have Carrie here. She's from Kick Cancer's Ass, and she's one of the big things. So it's Kick Cancer's Ass sponsorship, and Remo was supposed to be playing there with Funk Dubious and BC Bud. It's going to be a really good event. We want everybody to come out. We're going to have them come in here and talk more about it and how they've been planning it, and it's going to be camping overnight too and everything. Big water slide. They're closing it down specifically for us, and basically at 7 p.m. Let's light them up. Yeah, at 6 o'clock the public's out and they're giving us an hour, and then at 7:10 it's lighted up.
There you
so
go.
when you pull in, go to the back parking lot and they'll see us all there. And of course, we got sponsors. I'm a sponsor, of course. When it comes to local events, I'm always involved in some way or another. So you'll be able to get a Kick Cancer's Ass meditainer. I'll be actually there.
That's this weekend.
That's this weekend. That's tomorrow.
Saturday,
That's
big
tomorrow.
splash, water slide
And if you
park.
want a ticket, I'll get you one because I got a few extras on me. So
Sounds
Yeah.
great.
all right.
And so, but Jeff, the Prairie Cup is scheduled for which date?
Yeah,
We are booked for November 8th, 9th, and 10th in Saskatoon.
There you
Although
go.
I don't know how that looks.
Yeah.
If we do roll out this year, I think you might see a slightly different setup where trade shows are more focused on trade booths are more focused on information and product availability than actual product
Selling
right
product.
there. So I hope that maybe we can structure it so that it's not
There he
this
is.
open farmers market cannabis thing that they think we're somehow breaking the law by doing all this.
Well,
Yeah.
wait a second here. They're having the first public market for cannabis that's going to be in Ontario in November, I thought. I just read this on a Facebook thing yesterday. I was actually reading all about it.
There's been lots of pop-up markets, but
Yeah,
none
but
that I know
this
of
is
that-
actually a legal
Four plants thing? or
like,
no?
yeah, I don't know what it is. I'm going to find more details about that definitely for next week.
It's four
plants.
Four plants. Yeah, yeah. They never.
Canada Live, bro. Legal.
Yep.
It's not Quebec.
Canada.
We're not Quebec. I think it doesn't
Anywhere,
matter.
you just can't see them.
Yeah.
No, and you can see them in Saskatoon.
I think
Yeah?
so.
You're allowed
Ontario,
to?
you
Oh, wait a second. I go by like Lisa Mama King. She's got this huge, massive plant. Her front window right on the corner of the street. I think it's epic because it's this outside of a corner. There's like a 7-Eleven up the street, so it's busy. And she's got this massive plant right in the front window. I'm like, this is awesome.
So, Jeff, we're going to check in with you about what's going on very soon. Once you get back
Once
to
they
town.
get back and they catch up with me,
Yeah.
I think that there probably is some sort of court challenge. I mean, I do hold the medicinal marijuana card. A lot of the people that were attending.
Right.
Don't admit to anything.
I wouldn't. The
No.
only thing I did was gift cannabis, which I believe is legal under the Cannabis Act.
You're allowed to give weed
Yes.
away.
Up to 30
Yeah.
grams,
That's
yeah.
right.
I'm allowed to give
So
weed away all
I
fucking
never
day.
sold nothing. I just
No.
gave it away.
Jeff,
So-
I just gave you the joint.
Cannabis
So we'll
swap.
see. We'll see what happens, and I mean,
But you have to buy this med
I'm not
tainer.
going back. So if they think a fine is going to stop me, well, we'll just fundraise for it.
Yeah.
We'll just have another event. We'll just do that.
Exactly.
We'll pay the ticket off, and we'll move, or we'll go to court and fight it. We'll have a pop-up market to pay.
Pop-up fundraiser.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna bring out my next guest here soon. So we got to make some room on the couch. Thanks for
All right.
coming on, boys. And Jeff, if you're still around after, we'll bring you back on. But
Yeah,
Jeff, we
absolutely.
got
Yeah,
Blaze.
I agree.
You got a
I
supplement
enjoyed
on you?
talking with you, and if you guys want to support us in anything in Saskatchewan, come see me at Skunk Funk, please.
That's
we could
right.
use the help.
Skunk Funk Smokers Emporium,
Skunkfunk.com.
the center of Saskatoon's cannabis activism. Thanks, guys.
Okay, you know what?
So,
There's going to be this awesome event happening tomorrow. I've been mentioning it and
That's
talking
right.
about this.
right. So this Saturday, there's an
Saturday?
event, the Kick Cancer's Ass Wet and Wild 720 event. This is at the Big Splash Water Slide Park in Tawasin.
up here, Carrie? It's your cue now.
Yeah, and performing there, a very special guest, Son Doobie of the legendary hip-hop crew Funk Dubious is in the house here right now.
Here we
He's
go.
there this weekend. The big homie who we love so much. And we
Hi.
haven't seen for a while, actually. Been a couple years or something.
You guys are amazing. I love you guys. Always check out the show. So yeah,
There's a joint for you. Got some water coming in the house, too.
Yeah, good.
Here, you need a lighter. Here, light that thing up.
Yeah, yeah, and you might want to grab the mic, man. It might be a little better on the.
grab the
Yeah, it might be a little easier to hear you.
check
Yeah.
1 2. Check 1 2. Yeah.
There you
Heck
are.
yeah, man. This is
So,
dope.
so you're performing at an event, and what's the event, Carrie? Tell us more about it.
Well, I started Kick Cancer's Ass about 10 years ago, just trying to inspire people. There's
That's
lots of
awesome.
people out there raising all kinds of most of them.
Not us. we're not pot smoking hippies.
All of the above.
10 years ago, I decided I'd like to inspire more people just to kick its ass and have some more attitude and strength behind it. And we end up with a
Yeah.
support system along the way.
Well, I just wanted to thank you guys for having us. Like I said, you guys already done a lot for the 420 community. And, you know, it's always fun to come out here to Vancouver and represent Soul Assassins, Funk Dubious, and real hip-hop.
Yeah, man.
And I just want to thank you guys and Carrie Care Bear just for having us. And also got to give a big shout-out to Camel and Matt Harvey from BC Bud Depot.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
you guys. You know what's up, Jeremiah. I love all you guys.
Definitely. Yeah, man. Well, thank you so much for being here, brother, man. And
Well, we're just gonna now. You wanted a joint, so you asked for to have. You're just
Well,
a
there you
CBD
go.
hippie. Oh, just
Big
pass
shout
that
out to DJ Mothman, of course, on the ones and twos. He'll be DJing for me tomorrow
Nice.
night, and I'll be doing all the classics, for all the hip hop classics like the Bow Wow Wow, Lost
Yeah,
in
man.
Thought,
Bow wow wow.
Dropping-
Is Freak
Want to hear the
Talk,
bow wow wow?
you know, shitting on them, super hoes.
Here, you just need to hang.
What they, you guys, right?
because
Right?
you've been
Oh.
dropping dope tracks since '92.
Oh, wait a second here.
I'll
I
do
think.
all the
92.
classics from Which Doobie You Be.
Do you want a
Yeah,
signature
yeah.
on
Big
that?
shout out to Ralph M and Town
Oh
Mark
yeah.
Funk,
Wait a
of
second
course.
here.
Mugs.
You're gonna have to do an autograph. for
Always
this guy.
mugs.
That's right.
Well, just thank you
Hell
guys,
yeah,
man. Like I said,
Thank you. You've
guys-
been supporting
this
this
is kind of
community
a-
for so long, man.
is kind of a
I
different-
first met you at Legends Valley Music Festival, and you know what, dude? Honestly, you became
Yeah,
a
man.
brother
You
at
guys.
that point.
So in '92, you guys are dropping tracks, and this is like you're dropping track. Doobie's in the name. Right in the fucking name. So how heavily was weed playing into this shit? I mean, this was all you guys were just like representing before anybody did. This
I was
stuff.
into it way before the legal age, and you know, at that time the streets.
Was there a legal age back then?
Oh man, dude,
There was no age. You
There
just-
was
there was
no age.
There was no age. It was just illegal.
Yeah,
These guys were
we've been doing this before the
pioneers.
internet, so
Yeah.
it's just insane
Before
now.
the internet. There you go.
If you would have told me like people would have like these pocket computers and laptops, and I wouldn't have believed you because
Dab rigs and
that's the stuff
full
of
mouth.
Steven Spielberg movies, and you guys are doing. You guys are like the manifestation of dreamland. You guys are the real thing, man, and it's just like an honor just to be around talented people as yourselves, and you know, I just like to be your jester. I'm here to just entertain me, jester. I'm here for your royalty,
But-
just for your entertainment. So it's just fun to be with Care and be with Moth and just represent real hip hop and do it for a good cause. I mean, man, shit, it's Vancouver, man. You guys live here. It's paradise out here, bro. I love it.
Well,
Yeah.
man, you were telling us this shit though before anybody was, and like I know you say you're here to entertain, but you were bringing a serious message. You were
Yes,
one of the
you're right.
first people that was telling me about weed. Like
Yeah.
that, in '92, I was listening to you, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking try this shit.
You know what? It was a weird thing for me because when I was in the group still Cypress Hill, like I said, it was a transition for me to leave the group and start Funk Dubious because Funk Dubious is a Cypress Hill song, and we never recorded it, so we took the title for the group's name, and we just became advocates of the cannabis culture.
Love
But it was
that.
all in fun. B-Real was mostly the guy who spearheaded the project, and he became Dr. Green Thumb, and then the rest was history.
Hell yeah, man.
So a big shout out to B, Sin,
Yeah.
and Muggs for just opening the doors and paving the way, and congratulations for them getting their star on Hollywood.
Yeah,
Walk
man.
of Famous War.
There you
being,
go.
All the
one of the
pioneers.
first rap, doing it. So
Yeah.
I just got to just say it's just an honor just to have my name on the flyer with you guys on any parched document, paper or
Hell
whatever.
yeah, man.
And it's just a privilege just to be in the presence of you guys. And, like I say,
You too, man.
I'm just a reflection of you guys, and I just want to just do a good show. I hope you guys enjoy the performance tomorrow, man.
Yeah,
Oh.
man. Well,
I thought we might get a performance
we had
today.
you.
You
Are
know
we
what
gonna
I'm
have a
saying?
pre-performance?
But
Yeah.
you guys be smoking me out here, bro. Your shit is
Yeah.
Here, you
so
keep
good.
smoking that thing, man. Come on.
It's
You want
a-
a dab?
The weed here is so good.
You gotta get down?
I've been, like I said, I've been coming to Vancouver since like the early '90s, late '80s, and it's like you guys have progressed. The weed out here, it's like, because in LA the good stuff gets sold out so quickly, and it's hard to just, keep it in production all the time. The consistency. But I'm not gonna lie, man. Where's the camera? Hey, all right, yeah. Hey, Vancouver's consistency is amazing when it just comes to just top shelf indica.
We
And
get the
just thank
gas.
you guys,
We
man.
bring
Well,
you. We bring you the goods.
And brother, you came out here and
you,
performed.
you wanted something
guys
tasty.
are
You got some
amazing.
peanut
Came
butter
out here
bread
and
in
held
your
it
hand.
down 2
Yeah.
years ago at 420, man, which was a big show.
We gotta get you
Well,
next year. 420.
thank
You gonna
you,
come play
man.
for
That
us
was
next
super
year?
dope.
Hey, just thank you for what you guys are doing. Listen, at the end of the day, we all have big hearts. And like I say, man, they don't make guys like you anymore. And I just want to just thank you guys, man, for just...
These are all the things we should be saying to you.
Well,
Yeah.
you guys let me be who I want to be. I mean, I'm just here being myself. You know, I love you. Thank you, Carrie. You guys are
Thank you for
bad.
staying real all these years.
Well, thank you,
Fuck
Carrie.
yeah.
You're the sweetest. I'm just
Yeah.
like...
And so how
I love you guys.
How
so-
do you consume your
Thank you,
cannabis
Mom.
these days?
You guys-
Are you like
That's one for
yeah?
you, full there.
Oh, really? Thank you guys. Man, you guys have the best gifts. I keep everything. I got like I could start a museum with everything you guys given me, and I will. It's amazing,
I think
man.
last time didn't you leave your gifts behind so we could bring to you for the last and then you come up next time?
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
mean,
remember
dude.
that.
I promise, man. I will just come here and just rep, you know?
You just need a little locker just to have your name on it. So every time you come up, you can just kind of.
Right, I got you. We'll leave the midget in the crack whore back there. No doubt. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You know me. I'm just your harmless, skinny Puerto Rican. You know, man. And I'm, with you guys, man. You guys are like a band of gypsies. I love you. I always love messing with you guys. You guys make me laugh and smile. And yeah, like I
Are
said.
we getting anything new? Are we seeing some new stuff coming out in the future? What's
yeah,
going on?
I'm working
Yeah.
with. I'm in the
What's
Soul Assassin
happening?
Studios right
Yeah?
now.
That's what
I got
we're
some
doing.
new stuff. Nothing like
Yeah?
the old stuff. So I'm
That's
just
cool.
excited. I'm not supposed to
Cool.
talk about it, but
We just
Oh,
pulled it
shit.
out of you.
I know.
Oh man.
Sorry.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. I'm gonna just shut up, but
When
I got
it's-
something in the works.
Zip it.
Yeah.
We got something. I got something for
Hey, light this one up.
late 2019 and early 2020. So Funk Dubious. Big shout out to DJ Ralph M and Tomahawk
Yeah.
and T-Bone. I love
yeah.
those guys. Funk Dubious. With those guys, they know me. I've been around the world with those guys 10 times and over. So it's nothing like just being with those guys. I mean, we've been in the game, hip hop game, 30 years plus.
30 years.
Oh
Yeah,
wow!
man.
Just thank you.
Yeah.
The diamond anniversary.
And in
So,
that golden age,
We've
man.
grown up with your music.
Thank you.
You guys were
Kara.
part
I mean,
of
you
the-
guys.
It was-
I
it
love
was
you
a
guys.
serious-
I get nervous around Kara because she knows me. She knows I'm with the cause. I'm about it. We're about being real. And like I said, man, it's just weird, man. Just it's a dream to just 2 hours get on a plane and leave Hollywood and just come out here to Vancouver.
This is
and be
Hollywood
with
North.
guys.
You know that.
Well,
Come
you
up here
guys-
anytime, brother man.
It's just amazing, you guys. Vancouver, you guys.
I think we should be Hollyweed North.
We're doing the event, which is before we're performing tomorrow. Like I said, kick cancer's ass. We always are always supporting the culture. We want to thank everybody else for supporting the culture as well. And like I said, it's Soul Assassins 2019. Want to give a big shout out to Muggs, Sin Dog, Be Real.
Yeah.
Got to say what's up to Ralph M, T-Bone, Everlast, Danny Boy, Lethal.
Yeah.
And got to
House of
say what's
Pain.
up to Alchemist, Scotty Con, and DJ Penn. I mean, all the original
crew.
SA heads, and
man.
I love you guys, man. I'll see you when I get back in. Yeah, I'm out here in Vancouver, you guys, smoking one for y'all. Smoking two. Smoking two, so, we're just out here, guys. That's all, you know what I'm saying? I'm just smoking out here,
So we're gonna make sure that we got lots of doobies blazing
Yeah.
for
Not the
Mr.
rifle.
Funk Dubious.
You know,
So
right here,
this
so-
event is at the Wet and Wild. It's a water slide park. It's the Big Splash. Big Splash. That's right. Is this the first time, son, that you've ever performed at a water slide park?
Here, I'll take
Man,
'em.
I can't, I mean,
Because it's a first for all of us involved.
That's a first for
yo,
us.
you
yeah.
guys got me looking like an R&B video. I just want to thank you right now. Chris
Beautiful.
Brown is eating his
Perfect.
heart out.
Yeah.
Yo, he can only dream of a concert like this at a water park. So I was
shit.
thinking of coming out of the not the cyclone or the typhoon, but the tornado chute and just shooting out right on a ramp on stage, half pipe in it.
Yeah,
on
it's
stage.
gonna be
and
awesome,
just
guys.
Going ahead, repping hip hop with my DJ right here, DJ Mothman, extraordinaire. World premiering it. You know what I'm
And
saying?
you're going to
yeah,
be
man.
performing on top of a bus.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
An old school bus donated by the headquarters in downtown Victoria.
So that's pretty
dope.
awesome.
They're bringing this bus in, and it's got a stage on top of it.
Right.
So
That is
Funk
super
Dubious
fucking dope.
is
I'm not
Jeremiah, I love you,
I
man.
don't know.
jump off and crowd surf and do.
Are you crowd surfing?
You guys.
While he's singing.
Well, like I said, if you guys got any special requests, I'll be out there like Frank Sinatra. You know what I'm saying?
Beautiful.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? You guys, You guys are the diamond. I love you guys. You guys are shining like diamonds, and I'll just try to do my best. I'll do the tracks as best as I can, like the record. And I just want to thank the kids, the women, the guys. Just thank you for your support. For Funk Dubious, Soul Assassins. We love you, man. Just thank you for your support.
You
we
too,
love
brother.
you guys.
You
Thank
too,
you
brother.
so much, man.
How's
Thank
that?
you. Well, thank you guys, man.
How's
Thank
that
you
Cali
guys.
weed these days?
Yeah, of course. Yay, man. You know what? You can speak on it, man, because like I said, it's amazing right now what we got out there.
Yeah.
We got a couple OGs. Of course, the Louis is strong out there. The Carpendine, of course, the Terminator, the Alien, the Mutant OG.
Nice.
A lot of the familiars that you guys know already. There's what's the other one? Fireball OG.
Nice.
And of course, cookies, French cookies, regular platinum cookies, Girl Scout cookies. All the cookies are always doing good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm just saying. So I need everything from the indica, from the hybrids.
All the cookies?
Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because the $10 hybrids will hit like the $18 indicas, and sometimes the $10 sativas will hit like the $13 hybrids.
Exactly.
So it's just it different, and don't be afraid to always try a house pre-rolled. You know, too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Is it
'Cause those
all?
are
Is
good,
it all
too.
about the flower? Or are you a dabber, or how do you consume
yeah,
these days?
I dab too, man.
You're
I just
dabbing
don't.
these days.
I just don't want to go too crazy on you guys, because I'm a quiet professional, just like like my colleagues. Just like my colleagues, I'm a quiet professional, is like you guys. So man. Thank you guys. I love you.
So are you gonna give us a little heads up?
Hit that shit.
Right.
Give that man a dab. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited, man.
Yeah,
you
man. Well,
excited?
that's super dope.
We can't talk about the new stuff, so we got some old stuff. And
Yeah.
I mean, like, what time are you
Cookie.
going on stage tomorrow? You can like.
Whenever time you guys will have me, I'm ready. I'm
Yeah.
on standby.
So we're gonna get you from 7 until 11. We got you like cool 5 hours straight.
Yeah, sir. Yes, sir. I'm ready
There
for
you
you
go.
guys, man.
7 to
You
11.
know,
go.
7,
Hey, if you guys,
7:10 to 4:20.
I thought I was going for an hour, but they're over here.
In 20 minutes.
They're over here talking about, we just want you for, we just need you for a half an hour or 40 minutes. So, I mean, if you guys will have me on for as long as I can, I wouldn't mind. I love you guys. You guys,
Well, actually, see,
If they would have
to
me-
invite him to my birthday party at Big Splash, and then we kind of grew it into an event.
Nice.
Thank
Happy
you.
birthday.
Thank you, like Carrie Care Bear said, exactly. But
Very
I'll
cool.
take requests, whatever, because when I perform for you guys, it's different. It's like I never get tired, and I'm always trying to impress you guys, because I just want to show you guys that. But then
You're always very
but then it's
impressive.
like, you guys make me feel so
keep
like
passing your joints.
at home, that it's like I don't understand the energy. It's just amazing on stage, and thank you
Cookie-
guys,
Cookie
man.
brought
Amazing.
us-
You guys are the best.
Cookie brought the old wax.
I mean, yeah, I've been here so many times. I mean, you guys are all. I mean, it's like my second home. So Vancouver, yeah, I feel like I've been here
We
already.
love having you up here.
I mean, the hip hop underground here in Vancouver is amazing, and the 420 underground community is amazing. Moth Care, you guys are like family. So, Jared, you know what's up, man. You guys are amazing. I love you guys.
You too, man.
Just thank you. Thank you
I
for the
gotta-
support too.
I got a question for you, man. When you guys were putting this shit together back in the day, and you were talking about weed on wax, like you guys were the first ones doing it, did you know like what that was really gonna do? Did you have any clue, like at the time? Or first of all, you must have known that nobody else was really doing that. So was that like a cognizant thing, or was it just you guys were just puffing, so you wanted to fucking talk about it?
Well, you know what? The first person to ever really talk about marijuana on rap records was Schoolie D.
Schoolie D.
PSK.
That's right.
And all that stuff. So I mean, I was a big Schoolie D fan, and at that time, he was out there on the West Coast scene, and he was running around with Terry B. And Terry B was an artist for Eazy-E at that time.
That's right.
So me and Muggs, we were just running late night in the clubs, and you guys, like I said, you know how the lineage of the timeline was. And we pretty much just were so influenced by that genre of music that we were influenced by that, and it influenced our demos, influenced our material on our album.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah,
Definitely.
thank you.
Yeah, Schoolie D was like, he was the first one to be really talking about some gangsta shit on the tracks too.
It
right?
it was shock. Yeah, it was amazing.
Questions that you
Yeah.
want to ask? I know
These
you're.
are I'm asking them now.
I know. Here we go. So get ready, because I know
it was weird. You know, when B real when it was me and B doing yeah, when you guys smoke. I don't smoke like I used to, but
Here.
you know, you guys, I'm just saying, got the best. You guys got no. When I smoked this stuff, like I'm sitting down now, but if I was standing up smoking with you, I couldn't stand up. I would have to sit down because my legs start knocking.
Would you like a dab?
Yeah, it was like B would give me these sacks, and he would always make me test out the new strains. And he would make me lay a verse, and he wouldn't give me no money. He would just give me weed, and I would try it, and it'd be the best weed. And I would tell myself, I swear that I was gonna save it for like the strip club. I mean, you know, like for like or the clubs or like for that special moment, for that rainy day. Right, and you know, man, I could never do it because it was so good, you know. And I had like the secret was I had a glass 2-footer, and there was a glass 2-footer, and you know, I don't know if you know about the glass 2-footer. It wasn't a bong. It was called like a slapper. It was mostly a slapper. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And it was a graphics glass slapper. And if you had indica and you had a slapper, you weren't going anywhere. Yeah, and my mom would make these. She would make these fruit bowls, like these fruit trays.
Do you need a dab?
And I would, yeah, please, thank you, man. And I couldn't go anywhere because I would eat these trays, and you would be, you know how fruit would, you don't think it would like knock you down, and drink and doing the 2-footer with the fruit bowl and the indica. Forget it, man. You didn't even need dab, but I'll take a dab though. Yeah.
Popcorn after.
Hell yeah.
Heck yeah, you guys.
Yeah, Johnny's got the sweet shit. Johnny's the hash master.
Well, actually, this is some fresh rosin peanut butter breath that you just smoked it, but I squished it early this morning for you.
There you go. Freshly squished. Yeah.
Freshly squished. Oh my gosh, I feel like Maverick in Top Gun. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, put the fucking sunglasses
Dude,
on
this
for that.
dude's about to take. He's gonna just.
It's just not that. You want a bigger dab, or you said small, right?
Yeah, standard. Thank you. Yeah, because I still have to work after this. I'm sorry. We got more interviews to do. I love you guys. Okay, thank you guys. It was nice knowing you guys. I love you.
There you go.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and this shit, Johnny, freshly squished.
Just the flavor.
The peanut butter breath, and that's the same stuff that he was in here. We were sniffing on. Johnny's got the grown, just nicely grown stuff here.
Coughing my lungs out right now.
Fresh harvest.
Bam. There you go.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Okay, I'm back. Little Doobie's here. Right. Holy shit, that shit's amazing. Good shit, you guys.
Concentrated these days. It's just like hot knives back in the day, though, pretty much, you know? Hot knives. You know? It wasn't black hash, though.
That was a smooth 9.
Yes.
From 1 through 10, that was a smooth 9.
There you go.
I was like amazed. That's right there is amazing because God knows I would have an aneurysm if you guys would give me anything. It's just too much.
Fast.
I'm doing, like I said, I'm trying to do 10 songs tomorrow. I'm gonna do all the classics. From
We can't wait.
Yeah.
Doobie, Troubleshooters, Golden Bee Boys, Fun Superhero, Doobie Deluxe.
So the quest was a quarter-pound doobie for the stage.
Say that again.
You wanted a quarter-pound doobie for the stage.
Quarter-pound doobie for the stage.
Please, of course.
That would be.
Jared is amazing because the quarter pounder is, smoking something like that. I mean, that's only fit for something like the movie Half Baked.
We're pretty much.
Something like
We need a couple torches. We're thinking about how we want to, but well.
Johnny, can you put that together?
We're working on it.
Around it, put some keef in it.
We're talking about just put about a quarter ounce right down the middle of pure hash.
Johnny,
big donut right down the middle.
Tomorrow night, when the sun's going down, you're gonna be up there on top of the bus, doing your thing.
Yeah, I'll be.
I'm gonna be passing the joint over.
It's just gonna be like.
I mean, I won't disappoint. I've been doing this, guys, since '93, so
yeah.
I'm excited. Always Vancouver is live all the time, all the way 1,000%, 1,000 wow. Thank you, Vancouver. Always, 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 man. I love you guys.
What do you think of like shit has changed a lot. Like 93, man, that was honestly for me a huge year in hip hop. It was like some of the most pivotal shit was coming out back then. Defined a whole era, golden age shit.
Because my friends that I went to high school with, who were in hip hop, who had holes in their sneakers, when at that year they were dressed like gods. They had jewelry, gold dripping around their neck. They had #1 they were Fashion Novas. They were just they were doing it big baller brand style. They were just they looked amazing that year, and they had everything from the J's to the from the bottoms to the tops to the caps to I mean just everything, and the music fit the appearance.
Yeah.
It was the first time that it was dead on, like speechless. It just left you speechless. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was also like the year where 94 tried to copy it, and also 95.
Yeah.
But then it was watered down by 95.
Yeah.
And then by 96, you had the bad boy era. That was,
That's
more
right.
of that. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Because before that, it was like there was a few big giants, right? There was like the Dr. Dre, obviously, and Snoop in 92, 93.
Yeah.
There was Wu-Tang in 93. And then there was Soul Assassins, you guys, Cypress, and House of Pain. That was huge for me, man.
I rolled with Muggs. So Muggs, we were Public Enemy fans.
Yeah.
So we were kids coming up wearing the Public Enemy shirt.
Fuck yeah.
And at that time,
Chuck D and the boys, Flavor Flav.
Hank Shockley. But when Hank Shockley did Ice Cube, when he did, like I said, America's Most, it was over. You know what I'm saying? And then after America's Most, we had De La Soul. And then we just we got invited or introduced to a new world of just interludes on albums.
Yes.
And then after that, it was The Chronic. And then after The Chronic, it was Cypress Hill. And then after Cypress Hill...
Son, grab the mic, brother. We should get you to grab the mic. It might be a little better on there.
I apologize.
Yeah. It's all good.
No, I was just saying...
Can you repeat all of that?
Yeah, no.
We start from the beginning.
They heard you. Don't worry.
We're back up here.
Yeah.
What I was trying to say was from Hank Shockley's production to also the production of NWA and Ice Cube with America's Most, and also of course with De La Soul, to The Chronic, to Cypress Hill, to just now all these other albums that we're just doing albums with interludes. I mean, we was always innovative. We was always diverse, and we always trying to do something different. But
for sure.
Now, man,
and you guys were, man. You guys that was something
man.
very different, and even like especially you, Funk Dubious, as even separated from the rest of Soul Assassins. Like you guys were doing something even crazier, different. Like when I was looking at this shit, I was like, these guys are fucking crazy weird, man. Like with the dope pictures, the porno raps and shit. I love it.
Guys, I was surrounded by. When I was with Muggs, I didn't know Muggs was he's a real killer. Like, I mean, I don't mean to say it like that, but I mean, he's a real dude.
Yeah.
And he hangs around real dudes.
Yeah.
And when I saw the violence in the studio, I was a little traumatized. And Muggs, he's a perfectionist, and I just had to have the way he had it, the way he did it, and he was correct. And I was stubborn, and I didn't listen to all the time. And I was more of a b-boy who likes to show off. And he showed me how to take my talent and how to do it with finesse, how to finesse it, and how to smooth out the edges, the rough edges, and just pretty much how to acknowledge the contributions that others in the past have made to the hip hop game. That I found out that if you do that, you're also helping yourself as well. You're benefiting yourself as well and your career. So I mean, you keep it humble, and like I say, I always try to keep the humility there, because that's a virtue that most narcissistic rappers can't imitate. And I like doing that, because I like doing something that others can't do.
Hell yeah, man, for sure. Yeah, well, you're damn good at it, man. Damn good at it. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Ma. Thank you, DJ Ma. Well, tomorrow night we're gonna rip it for you guys. So we hope you guys enjoy the show.
Thanks, man. Well, we appreciate having you on, man. Big time.
Thank you.
Having you here,
Thank you guys, man. Funk Dubious, man. So 2019 and 2020. Soul Assassins Radio. If you guys can check it out as well too.
You got to come back
guys
when
are
they
the best,
drop some
man.
shit, man,
I
so we
love
can
you.
hear that
I love
shit.
you, man. Thank
Yeah,
you.
we'll have you
Thank
back
you.
here.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe next
you,
420 or something. We'll have you. We got to try and get you back here.
I love you. Big shout out, of course, Carrie Care Bear, DJ Mothman, extraordinaires. I love you guys. Jeremiah, I love you guys too, man. You guys are amazing.
too, brother. You
That's it.
too.
Is this for me?
Light her up.
Oh shit. Okay, here we go.
Okay, you want to take it with you? You can take it with you.
All right, a moment of silence.
You
to
can
light
take it
the
with
joint,
you.
the torch.
You could have 2 for them.
You need a couple to go
Oh
with
yeah,
you?
here.
We got a bong for
Johnny,
you.
did you throw anything in the bong or what?
Oh, bong it up.
You mentioned an old classic 2-foot bong sort
Two-footer.
of thing, and
That is the
Yeah.
classic. High school.
yeah, this is what exactly.
School.
Nobody makes them like this anymore.
I'm gonna get you some really gassy. That one in particular is Scoutmaster.
We keep it tucked behind the curtain
Huh?
for old time's sakes.
That's right.
Yeah.
I love you, man.
Yeah, I gotta go.
You know how we burn, man, and you know how we do in the.
If you open
Yeah, no shit, man.
that stuff full for you.
That's a big container.
The Medtainer.
So that,
Airtight, watertight Medtainer. Damn fine product there
and
as well.
that's from the
Yeah.
great Canadian glass guy. So you got some gas for you. So I got
The septum already.
Get that creative.
not government
Yeah.
weed.
He said it's not the fucking Area 51 weed. Exactly.
Yeah, I spent about 4 months growing that and curing it perfectly. I knew you were coming, so I wanted to make sure you got that container. Press it back.
Skunk works, right?
How did
There
you
you
know he was
Black-
coming?
black
We
off.
didn't even know he was coming.
Are we talking with Matt a lot? I mean, we were trying to do other things in the past, so.
An excuse to bring him up.
It's like you the joint stays lit always with the indica. It never goes out.
We don't want it to go out. We just
Yeah, you
and
guys
if it does, we just
burn.
pass you another one.
Well, I'm just saying that it's so opposite as far as like the Christmas tree, where it burned. It doesn't even keep the joint lit, but it does smell and it does sometimes taste like crypto. You
Yeah,
know,
man.
sometimes, but it's not crypto.
Tastes like money.
Well, it is
Yeah.
It is a currency
That's
all
funny.
around the world.
The
It is probably
terps,
one of the
though.
oldest
It's all-
currencies in history.
yeah, all
It's
about the
probably
terps.
marijuana. It's probably the oldest currency in history because we've been trading that shit from day one. Right away. So you guys like, whoa, here. You want to trade? You want to share?
So,
Do you
son-
want some? I can hook you up.
Son, you guys are dropping new tracks and shit coming soon. But what do you think? This rap is very different now than it was in the '90s. I love '90s hip hop. I love hip hop
I'll get
still.
you some CBD
but
tomorrow.
shit has kind of
I got
changed
some
in a big
pure
way.
CBD at home
What are you
hanging.
listening to these
I'll
days?
make
Is there
sure to
something you
hook you up.
like, or what do you
Okay?
think of all these
Straight
new
out.
SoundCloud rappers and shit, all this stuff?
Well, you know what? It's crazy because like the music that's changed, like you said, during compared to the '80s to now.
Yeah, but it might be better that way because it's messing up or something.
Oh, it's because of the mic.
Yeah, I think there
I
was
was
a
gonna
problem
say
with the mic. I just
compared
wanna make sure it's
to
all
the
good.
'80s to now, as in regards to the question you asked, as
And my
far as
business card,
Yeah.
just in case need
you
to
know,
hold me.
the music and in regards to each decade has its own style, and it's just funny because I prefer old school because it produced a generation that was all about getting their money. And that's what I like, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it showed you how to get the money.
Yeah.
This generation doesn't show you how to get the money. It's pretty much just you get your Lamborghini, you get your mansion,
Right.
and that's your success. It doesn't tell you what to do after that.
Right. Right.
Yes, sir.
Right.
So, like Moss, I mean, you know, it's just like I
And
said.
exactly.
We want these new students of hip hop or these new guests in the house of hip hop to just like I said, take a little bit of that charm school and just know what to do with what they got and
Yeah.
know what they're doing and why they're doing it and
Yeah.
ask themselves why they're doing it.
And
You
I
know what I'm
think, like,
saying?
you know, what you said is right. There was this edge of something more empowering about hip hop back in the day. Old school, it was like, not only was it, like you said, Public Enemy and shit you were listening to, they're standing up against the authority figures,
Yeah.
showing people to do things for themselves. And what you guys were talking about, weed, this illegal substance, when not very many people were doing that, empowering other people to take part in this thing. You know?
Word.
Yeah,
Word.
it's
That's
like a
what's up. I like how
revolutionary
you said
act.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, you wise, man. Those are wise words from a wise man.
Oh,
and it's
thank
like
you, my
I
friend.
deal
Thank
I
you.
see hip hop like this global warming thing, you know, it's affected the planet greatly, just like hip hop has affected the same thing. But it's got an ozone layer in it, and that's what's making it weak. And it's funny because just like global warming, you can see how it's affected the soil. You see how it's affected the fruit. You see how it's affected its taste, its texture. And, farmers can't sell their produce like they used to anymore because their fruit is not the same anymore.
Right.
And also, it's also... Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then when you eat it, we don't know the side effects that it has on other people because we know that our bodies are different.
That's a good analogy, though.
Yeah.
Hip hop has an effect on people in a big way.
Thank you. That's right. Yeah. So that butterfly or that effect, like you're saying that, or that programming.
Yeah,
exactly.
it's a type of, and like you just said, it is a kind of programming or something. It's like this, people eat that shit up a lot, right?
Yes,
so
sir.
there is like some sort of responsibility that people in those positions, like you guys, in a way, have to like try to help those, help the society in a way. And you guys did that shit just by telling people to stand up for themselves,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah, and I think a
that.
lot of it now is a bit more. It's more commercialized in a weird, twisted way. Because like
right.
Biggie and Puff were talking about getting money and stuff, but there was still this kind of like heart that went with that or something. And it's like and complex. Like Biggie was pretty nice on the mic. Lyrics, exactly. Not this caveman shit. Now there's a lot of this caveman fucking grunting and shit or whatever it is.
Yeah.
The lyricism is not there.
Yeah.
We're just sitting here rolling and we're just gonna keep you high and talking.
Yeah, it's all good, man. I like I said, man.
He's on BC time.
You guys are the best. Like I like to get real analytical with the hip hop, and it reminds me of the old school days, like Ultramagnetic MCs.
Yeah.
The Better
Cool
Yourself.
Cool Keith is hilarious, man.
I love J. Rue the Damager.
Yeah.
Like I said when he was saying, "Your 9 sprays, but my mind sprays."
Yeah.
And
Come clean.
these guys are also Poor Righteous Teachers.
Yeah.
KRS, of course, always.
Yeah.
But of
Big
course,
time.
this new generation, there's a unheard voice out there, and they're doing such good and positive and productive music out there. And I just want to give a big, good shout out to them, and also acknowledge the contributions that they're doing for the culture. I mean, there's so many people out there that are supporting the culture, and no one ever gives them a shout out. So big shout out to them, definitely.
Dope, man.
Out there, word
That's
up,
awesome.
man. Thank you guys.
There you go. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, I heard I've been listening to Cypress's new album, the Muggs produced.
It's
Elephants
amazing.
on Acid, and that's
Muggs' beats are ridiculous right now. But like I said, he keeps it humble, man. He's taught me to keep it humble as well. And man, it's good. It's cool to be in the club with him because the celebrities come and it's crazy because you'll be chilling and it'll be your favorite TV show and they'll come and be like, "Yo, man, I love your shit,
Light it up,"
and all that stuff and. You kick it with the man himself, Muggs, and it's just dope, man. These guys are amazing. So it's always a privilege to just be amongst these hip hop warriors, and just be amongst the hip hop underground. And man, just do the damn thing, man. So
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and light this.
Spark that up. I'm glad you're back in the studio, man. Yeah. Yeah, and Battle Axe Records too. So some Canadian edge shit up here. Battle Axe is our homies up here.
I love Battle Axe. I can't say nothing best. It's just Mad Child saved me in 2001, and like I said, man, him, Prevail, and of course Kyle and Kevin, and who else, man? I forgot the DJ's name.
He's
a cool dude.
Rob the Viking. Yeah.
Cool dude, man. And they gave me the opportunity so that I could do my solo album.
Yeah.
Because I always wanted to do, like, when I did my Dr. Ill Son before I became Son Doobie, I always wanted to put, like, some crazy shit out there. And the other day, man, someone just brought that to my attention. Man, I got some dope shit on that. So I started listening to it again, and I got some fans on Instagram, and they bump it all the time. So big shout out to them out there in Denmark.
I was gonna bring it. I have the Pour More wax, like full size one. I forgot to bring it with the cartoon, your head on it. It's pretty
Bring
dope.
it tomorrow.
I should bring it. I was gonna bring it to show it off, but yeah.
Oh, dude. Okay, let me tell you how that Pour More started. Okay, kid you the fuck not, Ray Roll, who did Lost in Thought for me on Brothers Doobie.
Yeah.
He goes, "I got a gig for you. You in '97. You wanna go to Puerto Rico? I'm Puerto Rican. I've never been to Puerto Rico. I'm Puerto Rican 100% on both sides.
Nice. There
on
you
both
go.
sides.
Gotta go back. Gotta go there.
I'm not. listen, we have patriots out there. I get it, but I was raised out. I was born in Brooklyn. I was raised in Cali, and I was a Cali head. So I wasn't really I didn't know. I heard there's mosquitoes. They can eat me up. I was picky. I'm a whitewashed Puerto Rican, right? You know what I'm. But I'm with the brothers, and everybody thinks, well, no, Doobie, you're pretty much black. You're Puerto Rican, man. I don't know what to tell you. So I said, okay. I know, Doobie. I get it. You tried. It's okay. So Ray Rowe goes, listen, I got your plane ticket to get your ass over to LAX, and you're going to San Juan. That's the capital. So I go, okay, cool. And I go, do I need a passport? He goes, no, it's part of the United States. You can bring American money, your dough, you're all right, you're good. So I get over there, and he introduces me to this guy named DJ Nelson. I'm going, who the fuck is DJ Nelson? And DJ Nelson is the most nicest, kindest, humblest DJ. He takes me to his warehouse, and he has this thing called reggaeton.
Yeah.
What the fuck is reggaeton? Never heard it in my life. In 97, it's early 97. So I'm hearing Jamaican beats with Spanish rapping. And it's Buju Banton with artists, I don't know if you heard it, like Ray Peating, Don Chezina, and these Puerto Rican rappers that I've never heard in the Caribbean. They have their own style, MTV2. They got their own underground.
Cool.
So the next thing you know, Ray Roll tells me if reggaeton is this new genre of rapping, and it's going to be the new thing, and it's going to hit the States like you don't understand. And I go, you're out of your fucking mind. Don't start your shit, because no one's ever going to fall for it, and that's not going down. So we go to this. He invites me to this. So DJ Nelson goes, I want to pay you a lot of money. It was more money. Listen, I've done half an album, like EPs more, and I've gotten paid less than what he paid me, because for some reason these Latinos in the Caribbeans, they do it really big. So he had an event that night, and all he wanted me to do was bow wow wow and say, I'm smoking a blunt in Spanish. Right, I'm fumando un blunt.
Yeah.
And that was it. And he paid me. I was good for, listen, I was good for the whole year. If I had kids, it would have been my daughter's tuition for that year. And I couldn't believe I was getting that much.
That's crazy,
to the point
man.
that Ray Roll was like, hey, listen, you got to give me at least 5 G's of that. You know, I hooked it up. I flew you out here to fucking Puerto Rico. You got to fucking...
His cut.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I'm over here, and I give him the money. I give him the 5 G's. And, I say, thank you for giving me the opportunity. And he gives me a bunch of CDs in like a shoebox. And I go, and they stopped me at customs because they thought I was trying to sell them. And I told them, no, these are my personal keep. And then the next thing you know, 6 months later, reggaeton, Daddy Yankee.
Yeah.
We knew Winchester. I got introduced to him as Winchester, Don Omar, these guys, and I get invited to do the Puerto Rican parade, and I'm on a float. And I'm on the float right before Don Omar, and I don't know if my label hooked it up. I don't know my management, and I had the best time of my life in New York. So it was amazing, and I had the best time.
Dope, man.
Amazing. Puerto Rico's beautiful.
And reggaeton did drop and became huge in the West, like up here in Canada. Even in Canada, it's a fucking big thing. Everybody's all over the place. Yeah.
So you guys know what's up, and now you guys got like Bad Bunny and all these other guys now. So it's amazing.
Yeah.
And I just want to thank everybody who held me down in Miami. Puerto Ricans, Cubans, Dominicans, everybody. You know what I'm saying? Haitians. Everything. It was just an amazing time. Argentinians, Chileans, Brazilians, Colombians, Central Americans. It was Mexicans. You know what I'm saying? All day, every day. So it was nothing but love, man. And like I say, man, when you're in that brotherhood of hip hop, there's nothing. It's like the best, man. It's like Amex. You never leave home without it.
No
shit.
Know what I'm saying? No kidding.
Hey, but you guys are Canadian. What the fuck do you guys got out here? Canadian Express. Right? Or like a card, right?
We don't have a Canadian Express. We should have that, though, probably.
No, you guys just got... You guys are... You don't need it. You guys are rich.
Tire card, yeah.
No, you guys are rich already. You guys are in your Ferraris
Canadian Tire
already.
money. Yeah.
Fuck yeah. I love you guys.
Funny. Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
man, just thank you, man.
Vancouver,
Good weed, by the way, too. Fucking.
But Vancouver does love good hip hop too, and
that's our
at our
religion.
420s, we kind of like that. We've after the last few years, it's all been about the hip hop. Yeah, and it was fun having you here on 420.
Yeah,
that was a big show.
Man, thank you for having me, man. You guys spoil me all the time. Always give me the judges' bag, and I mean, it always has at the top shelf of indica, hybrid, and sativa, and of course CBCD. And what else?
Still buzz for a couple days?
Yeah, pretty much. You know, I mean, I try to smoke it all before I get on the plane, but it's weird because it's only 2 hours, which is nothing. I mean, but I watched 6 of my favorite hip hop videos, and I'm back in LA. That's it.
There you go.
On my phone, and it's just that's it, and you're
far.
good. You know what's up, and I'm back to my Xbox and the 2-footer glass.
Oh yeah.
So that's
you like
how
that
we do.
Xbox, huh?
You know, I mean, and,
what
you know,
about the old school games? You like the old school games or what?
Oh, I do I had to buy the PS2, and I got all the Navy SEALs and the Splinter Cells.
Oh yeah.
And I did, of course, all the Silent Hills. Of course, and then of course you got to do all the old school, the GTA 5, PS3, all the hits.
But what about even older school? Like, look behind you right there. Behind you out the window, we got the Pac-Man Galaga.
If you want to go siphon filter, old school, or you want to go like
Pac-Man, baby.
Oh my God!
Look behind you, right behind you. We got a high score vintage arcade right there.
Oh shit!
Pinball machines and shit. We got all the consoles. We got NESs, Super Nintendos, Genesis and shit.
Back there playing some video game. Look at it. He's like,
you fucked up.
The entire
You say me,
floor.
I'm like a little kid. I don't know which one to look at first. Look at this shit.
Simpsons down the end on pinball. So.
No, I know all this shit. I could tell you about Pac-Man too. One of the I know one of the first dudes who broke Pac-Man because when you get over 200,000, the screen splits.
Kill screen.
Yeah, so you already know what it is with those dudes. And like I said, those guys won awards, and I was a big Pac-Man hit because when I went to elementary, I had the Pac-Man backpack, the belt, the T-shirt, the hat.
The belt is
I was
dope.
spoiled.
The thing.
I was one of those spoiled. I had one of those parents that was making good money. I apologize, man. My mom was hey, listen, she was like a registered nurse at Kaiser Permanente. It was, you know what I mean?
There you go.
You know, so I was good. You know what I mean? And she bought me my first 2 turntables. So I was DJ's son. I was trying to DJ for Muggs, but he said I was whack. So he said, you should just rap, Doobie. You should just be a rapper. So we just fucking, you know what I'm saying? So I'm fucking rapping. And the first song we did was Love and Happiness. He bought his fucking first SP12 with the money he made with 783. And fucking it was his publishing money. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, Doobie, come with me. Because at that time, I went everywhere with him. He was like, come with me. I don't want to go by myself. And, you know, I'll go with you. And we picked it up and we bought it at the Sam Ash Music. I remember because we picked it up in the back. Because they had a back to entrance with, so no one would fuck with you when you pick up that expensive studio equipment. So then the next thing you know, fucking, man, we did Love and Happiness from Al Green's the original Love and Happiness sample, but we never used it.
Yeah.
And I got introduced to a guy named Lewis, and that was B-Real. And he was a blood. And I was scared of him because, you know, at that time I rolled with Crips, and Bloods was a new thing to me. But when I started rolling with B and Sin would just pick me up every day, take me to the hood, and it was just a blood thing over there, and I would just run with the Bloods, and they would teach me the gangbang. I wasn't a gangbanger, never, but it was just that I ran with them, and it was weird because I saw how they taught me the shiesty part of the hood and how things do, you know, they do stuff, and you had to how to mind your own business and stuff like that. So, Oh, yeah, no doubt. Thank you. I was just like, so, you know, man, look how small is it, though. I want this. Kill it. Here. All right, let me tell the story.
Johnny, throw an ashtray. There you go.
All right, shit. So listen, guys. So the next thing you know, Sin would pick me up like a religion for 3 years. And then the next thing you know, Sin had me selling weed at my junior high school. And it was just weird because, you know, I was scared, man, because we just had a new principal. We had a new security. And I thought I was going to get busted by his ass. And I was chilling with my boy David Kim. And he was some Korean dude who acted black. But he was black. You would swear Dave was black, you know, because he was Korean. But it didn't matter, because we used to be break dancers, and so you know how it was, man. Because when you had to battle, you had to show, your sand. So, whatever's, man. And the next thing you know, like I said, man, these guys took care of me. They showed me how to do my demos. They showed me how to write songs, and they showed me how to battle, how to win battles. And I was winning talent shows. I never came in second or third. I always came in first. And it was funny because after that, everybody in school would just, like they were just on me, and I had to come with something. I had to, you know what I'm saying? And it was the best, man, because that's what it was about. It was just, it's crazy because when you get into, I was such a nerd. I just wanted to just show everybody that I was the best rapper. That's it. You know what I'm saying? But then you get introduced to material stuff like the Dookie robes and, the Gucci jackets, the Dapper Dan stuff, the Gucci, of course, the Jordan 1s, the Jordan, the 3s, the 6s, and the 11s, so it's just like all the streetwear. And then you start to make it look a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Because you got a certain style, or whatever's, but always remember that style is always within yourself, and you can always do it anytime, anywhere, and take it with you wherever in the world. So.
And your rhyme style, though, when I hadn't heard any of that. Like, it was some unique shit, man. Like
that shit was
those
fucking
patterns
Muggs,
and shit, man.
Because Muggs, I lived through his crates, his records. Like I said, the EPMD, Cold Crush, Fantastic, Treacherous 3. I mean, it was pretty much Grand Wizard Theodore, DST.
The real shit.
Yeah, Grandmaster Flash, Melly Mel, Scorpio.
The best of
Cool
those.
Cool Herc. All the all
original
that
pioneers.
Stuff. A Chill Rob G, Mark 45 King, Lati, you know what I'm saying? Lakim Shabazz.
Yep.
All those are the amazing. Of course, Sweet Tea, and of course, Howie T, the Real Roxanne, Full Force. And I mean, all that stuff, man, was amazing.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm
sure.
saying? You can't even, I remember Tricky D, Truth Mathematics, for the money. Of course, Profile Select, Sleeping Bag, and of course, I can't forget Mantronics and Tricky T.
Yeah,
the originals,
some
of course.
Serious old school shit.
I can't say that. And Tila Rock. Always. And Just Ice.
It's yours.
I apologize for that. Yeah, Just Ice. Brooklyn.
Very cool, man. I love talking this old school hip hop shit with you.
And DMX, the beatbox. Yeah, the real DMX from back in the days. Yeah.
I miss that DMX.
Yeah, so that's it. I mean, I'll never forget that. And I've got to give a big shout out also to the real Cypress Hill out Cypress Ave and the BX, and also Cypress projects out there in East New York, Brooklyn. Yeah, those dudes are amazing. Because that's how Cypress really blew up. They thought they were from Cypress, East New York, and then with the weed smoking, and it was crazy because B-Real at that time, I mean. It's just, you guys, a crazy history.
That's dope. Yeah, man.
It's crazy history, man.
That's
we were in those clubs, man. I remember Quando's. Amanda Shear was managing that at the time, and she was dope because she did also the Supper Club right there off on, I think it was 42nd and Broadway. And that was because all the hip-hop heads, they would come from Soho and meet, and the ones from Harlem would come and meet. That was like the middle point. And they would meet at, and it was dope, man. I mean, fuck, man.
This is some
you would see your favorite
shit.
hip hop artist, no shit, and you would order bottle service was top notch, dope. You'd have Gangstar. You were chilling with Premier was on one corner, and you had Funkmaster Flex in the other, and there was no beef. It was fucking paradise.
Dope.
Everlast chilling with Tupac. It was some other shit, man. I couldn't believe it. And Muggs didn't like, because I was too young, and he would have to sneak me in at the time. And I remember he didn't like it because the marijuana would really fuck me up, and I had to sit down, and he would have to I would be dead weight to him. Because, sometimes I would literally be Lee from Beach Street. He'd come home with some pussy, and I would be dead weight. I would be the cock block, because I was young, man. I didn't know, man, I was too young. What's up, man? So, man. You know what I'm saying? The ladies, Muggs was a ladies' man, so it was nothing I can do. So it was like, that was my big brother, and I love him, man. And
Man.
like I said, man, he made New York to me, man. He was just like, he showed me hip hop. He showed me how to record shop. He showed me how to select beats. And like he said, don't just pick anything. Really, don't just go for the first thing. You don't sell yourself short. Like I said, save your money, because you never know if you need to buy a beat. Fuck buying sneakers or buying a car or buying a house. You never know if you have to be competitive in the game or stay in Billboard and just buy that next track. So
Yeah. Wow, Muggs, man, he's one of the best that ever did it.
Smart as fuck. He made this analogy with, can I share this about the sports? He made this analogy with sports. He said that you always got to stay ready in hip hop. He's like, people always get the chance, but they always fumble or drop the ball. They're always smoking or always fucking. And when the coach puts them in the game, they fumble, because when they ask them, what did you do? I gave you a shot. And they go, well, I was focused. When I was supposed to be exercising, eating right, and working on myself and trying to perfect my talent, I was too busy drinking and fucking and smoking. And I didn't perfect my talent. And coach gave me a shot. And life is that coach, and it'll always give you that shot and give you that chance, but you got to be ready. And
that's dope. I like that, man. That's good shit.
Thank you, man. Yeah, it's the truth. That's it. So
that's the real shit.
You only
get
one shot, right?
Serious shit
yeah,
here.
Muggs is amazing, dude, man. But he's a fucking millionaire. So I leave Muggs alone. Muggs is amazing, dude. That dude's amazing. He's a fucking, man.
Man, we appreciate having you big time here. And tomorrow you're going to be performing at the Big Splash. But we also have some other acts there too, don't we, Carrie? What's going on with the other acts that are there? Like opening acts and stuff.
Well, we have Shane King.
Microphone. Microphone.
Oh, Neil's going to open with old Cannabis.
Neil's opening for Funk Dubious. Yeah. Beautiful.
Oh, Cannabis.
MC Neil Magnuson. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, the real national anthem.
It's like when more people come in involved, meeting more people, and Cannabis at our event. Oh my lord.
There you go.
So cool.
Bong rip.
We got Funk Dubious, we got Shane King, and I heard whispers of a mother and daughter team coming over from the island, but I don't want to confirm anything. We'll make it our surprise guest if they show up. I don't really know if they're going to make it, but it would be cool. Well, I have a feeling you guys are going to be bringing some more surprise guests.
We'll be there.
I'll be there.
Okay, brother? Yeah. Oh my God! Well, it's actually
that's the regular bong
for the record,
that's
because it is still a family park establishment. They just ask that everybody, if you're going to smoke one, just because even though it's 19 plus, you just got to kind of take a little walk or go do your thing.
There's going to be a little plate just outside the parking lot.
You're not allowed to smoke on the premises. Plus, it'll get wet if you're going down the slide. How are you supposed to smoke?
Hot box
you
the
need
tube.
one of your waterproof medtainers.
So if you grab yourself a Kick Cancer's Ass meditainer, you'll be able to slide down that water slide, airtight water tank.
You got a hot box.
I like that idea.
There you
I'll
go.
definitely be hanging out with Carrie.
Sponsors.
We're going to be selling kick-ass meditainers to support people. Well, I guess support drivers and I guess support the cause and stuff like that.
Well,
so
Kick
Cancer's Ass.
Right?
Right? Exactly. So you know what? Please come on down. It's going to be a fantastic event, fantastic time. It's supposed to be one of the hottest days of the year tomorrow. By the way, it's supposed to be up to like
Beautiful.
24 to 29 degrees. It's going to be crazy. Tawasin.
Just gotta take
I
it
have
at
a
the
little.
door,
I
or
have a little surprise for something that's been going on. One of my sponsors in Victoria is called Colwood Car Mart, and Debbie from Colwood Car Mart, shout out to her, lots of loves. She has donated a car to my Kick Cancer's Ass 10th annual fundraiser on October 19th.
Yeah.
At Logan's Pub in Victoria, and didn't mean to do a plug there, but it
Good.
was
No,
a
plug it.
conversation, right?
Plug
I
away.
just realized it.
We love the plugs.
But,
Shameless plugs. Love them.
For every piece of apparel that you buy from Kick Cancer's Ass, $25 or more, you get entered to win a chance to win a free car.
Cool.
And it's a 2008 Dodge Avenger, and it's
Nice.
black and it's beautiful. It's
Nice.
very sweet. So I'll be selling the apparel tomorrow, and yeah, anything $25 or more, you get entered to win a free car.
There you go.
Buy 2 Medtainers.
Yeah. So that's kind of like one thing. Can I mention what we talked about in the car?
Yeah, go ahead.
So me and Son were talking on our way here.
Yeah. Yes. Do tell.
We were talking about the 10th annual, and he's gonna be flying up and doing a special guest performance for us.
Woohoo!
Nice.
I wanted to do my new stuff. That was okay. It was with everyone's permission. I just
Yes.
excuse me. I just was saying that I wanted to come out here a second time for Carrie and the cause and do my new stuff for you guys.
That's awesome.
I mean, you guys. I love
Yeah.
Vancouver.
I love it.
I never have a problem. Vancouver audiences
Good
are
souls,
amazing. I love the
beautiful
mosh
souls,
pit.
real souls.
You guys are the best.
I want to
and,
hear the new stuff, man.
Can't
Oh
fake
my
real.
gosh! I
Yeah.
can't wait till you hear it too. But I gotta keep it tucked. So
Yes.
Yeah.
I love you guys. It's gonna be sick though. I promise. You know I always come with it. That's all I gotta say. That's it.
Fuck
so,
yeah.
I love you guys. Thank you.
Love
Thank
you too,
Jer.
brother.
Well, thank you.
Thank you,
I'm a
Jeff.
heavy metal punk girl.
Love you
I
too,
like
man.
my rock and roll, but my world's been turned a little sideways more onto hip hop. And growing up with funk dubious,
I love
stuff
music.
like that. Oh my lord!
Which doobie you be? I love you
Which
guys.
doobie
Yeah.
doobie?
Heck yeah. That's word up.
I want
Well,
that on my
I
shirt.
really,
I keep
yeah, man.
hearing that in my head when I see you guys.
I want
Thank you.
that
Yeah.
on a shirt.
Well, it's dope to have you on the show, man.
You guys are the best.
I think this is the first time we've had you on the show, other than on at 420 when we were there. We had you on Pod TV a bit, so that was dope. But we've got to have you back again soon, man. However we get you in,
you come,
even if
you
we have
gotta
to
come to the
Skype you in
show.
from Cali or something, we got to have you back.
That'd be
ASAP.
fantastic.
I love you,
Yeah.
man. You guys are amazing.
Yeah, I
I
love you too,
guys,
man,
dog. You guys
for
are
sure.
cool.
And people can find tickets where? Online for this thing or just at the
yes.
event itself?
So on the event itself, or you can just buy tickets at the door. You can just come to the door. and
Come
get
to the
$20,
door?
$20.
$25.
$25.
And the
Fucking A.
event doesn't start.
So it
till-
actually gets you a ticket to win the car right away. No.
Almost. If
Almost.
If we didn't have to pay costs, I would be all in.
So
But
there
definitely
you
come on
go.
down. But you know what?
That's at the big
When you come
Splash
down, bring your
Waterslide
wallet
Park,
because you're
Tawasin.
here supporting
Yeah.
Kick Cancer's Ass, and
Thank you.
bring your doobies, and you know what? Bring your swing trunks
And
because it's
Tawasin's
definitely
a
going to be
nice little drive
a slipping
too. Like,
and a
it's
slide.
beautiful little drive to
And it's supposed
Tawasin.
to be absolutely beautiful.
Don't forget
and-
camping.
Don't forget a towel.
Camping.
There's camping right beside it.
So
you
there's
don't have to
camping
drink
right
and drive.
beside this. So if you
Fuck.
guys are coming over for the event, for the party, you
Right.
don't know, hey, I might have a smoke too much or have a few drinks. Guess what? No problem. There's a campsite
Oh,
right
you're
next
good.
door.
I'm actually
We're
going
definitely going to be
camping
spending the
this
night. The
weekend.
campsite, we already know. We got the whole back of the
Start
campsite.
there. Yeah.
You can find
Not
me
bad.
on top of one of the slides.
So it'll be fun.
Hell
The
yeah.
slides, dab bar. Neil's bringing a dab bar.
Hopefully we'll tune in live on Pod TV in some shape, form, or fashion.
So I will definitely be bringing my pipe.
Yeah.
So we'll be there.
We'll
Glad
have
to
our.
be a part of this day. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, it was great having you guys here.
Me too.
Really appreciate it big time, guys. Yeah, thank you so much for coming. So everybody,
like a hash
check
broke
this
now?
shit out.
There you go.
We're gonna try to bring you some of that live on Pod TV tomorrow too, if we can. I don't know if Anil's coming or not, but Anil be in his swim trunks with the live cam. Yeah. Yeah. With the GoPro all strapped to the forehead down the water slide. That's really, yeah, that's the way to do that shit. Oh, Macho Camel. I was wondering if he might make an appearance today.
That was confirmed on our podcast.
Confirmed. Oh, shit. Well, then you can't miss this then. That's like fucking icing on the cake there.
It's going to be epic. It's something that's never been done. Everybody
Yeah.
involved has never done anything like this before either. Like,
It's a dope
we
idea.
got cannabis sponsors helping and contributing and paying for the event. We got more friends coming on board in different ways with the shout outs, shows coming on up from California.
Definitely.
You know, it just, I love it. It just warms
No,
my
good
heart.
idea, and good on you guys for pulling this off. It's kind of like, we'll yeah, we haven't done it yet, but even just the idea
You
of
have a DJ if
even-
all else fails.
even just
we got Mothman man.
Yeah.
His voice is going to be a little more raspy, but that'll be here anyway.
Well,
at the end of
even
the day,
even
right?
just convincing the water slide.
And remember, cross your legs when you go down steep slides.
Yeah, good call. And yeah, how did you guys convince the water slide park to let you do a weed event there? You just asked them. Wow.
I keep forgetting you were the one.
There's only one time you get this. It's called first bounce.
Being there, so I'm turning 48 on Monday. the
Happy
22nd.
birthday.
Thank you. It's my birthday month.
Happy birthday. Mine too.
Is it?
July 1st was my birthday, so birthday month.
We can have a double party.
There you go. I like those kind of
It
parties.
gets bigger. I love it.
Those are the best.
So I called about that, and then I wanted to rent a private gazebo for my birthday party.
Yep.
Because some of us are some old cougs.
Oh yeah, talk to the mic. Yeah.
Some of us are some old cougs and stuff. I'm getting comfortable here now.
Hell yeah.
I'm kind of like
Oh,
We're getting real comfortable. Just now.
Off cam though.
little stoned.
Okay, don't go too far off. Yeah.
Oh my god.
I
My
mean,
camera
go ahead,
kills me.
kid. Go say.
So I can't look at myself right now.
You look good.
So, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so I had called about my birthday, and then as I was talking to Jose, the manager I've been talking to this whole way, I said,
Shout
"Hey,
out to
what's
Jose.
this about special events?" And he's like, "Oh," and he explained that you rent it out for a certain price from 7 till sundown because of they don't really have lights for the water park at nighttime.
9:30.
So,
Yeah.
hey, 10:30 right now. We're in prime summer.
There you go.
right?
Okay, so we're using the headlights on the cars.
So
12:30.
I said, well, I host this fundraiser called Kick Cancer's Ass, and I've been doing it for 9 years now. And I have some wicked sponsors. And is there any way you guys would be interested in a cannabis-sponsored event, but not being all about the cannabis? It's about making money and helping bring awareness to the volunteer cancer drivers for patients that are trying to deal with it, right?
For sure.
I had cancer like 10 years ago, and it was kidney cancer. And luckily for me, my kidney got taken out, and I didn't have my cancer anymore. But from day one, it was Kick Cancer's ass. Like, I'm just going to take this bitch head on. And
Hell yeah.
And if I can inspire it, I can't cure it, I can't stop it, and I don't know how to start it. But I can totally help people that are fighting it, right?
Hell yeah. No, well, good on you for doing it. It's
Sorry,
an
I didn't
amazing.
mean to get all emotional.
No, it's an awesome, a very, very awesome
This whole
accomplishment.
thing started from heart, and I keep meeting more wonderful people that have the same heart and cause.
I love you, Kier. I just wanted to say, like I said,
Want to support it and join it. You
I
know?
love you.
Like BC Bud, like Matthew Harvey and Camel there.
Hell
like,
yeah.
Oh my lord, they opened up my whole world when they took me on for Bio Cup a couple years ago, and
Yeah.
and
Well,
my
no,
whole
you guys
world got
are
opened.
amazing activists doing the right
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
That was a big blur, but I had such a great time. I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Wow.
420 in Vancouver. I just set up my gazebo on the beach because I can't afford
Yeah.
the vendor, and I just chill, and my friends come by, and
That's what it's
I
for.
love 420. This last 420 was fucking insane.
It was dope. Dope to have Cypress
How
Hill
many
in the
people
house.
were there? Because I keep hearing different numbers.
Oh, it was like we estimate 150,
Who though?
150,000 or more.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, over the day. Yeah.
Oh my God!
It was
I
a
came
big
in
show.
to visit Matt and Camel, and I could barely even get to like the tent. Everybody was just like a bunch of cattle getting herded through. I'm like, I'm glad I'm going back to the beach. If I could see y'all
It was
later.
crazy, man. It was a nut. It was one of the bigger, like,
I got
it
to
just
watch
keeps
it all
getting
go
bigger
down.
every fucking year.
Yeah.
It's just hard to really, we're like outgrowing even that spot itself. It was just body to body to body.
You know what?
You
It's
know what?
when
Moving
we were
into
flexing in
Sunset Beach was the
2013, when we
best
moved
thing.
2014.
It was the
Yeah,
best
pretty
thing.
much, man.
All that smoke
Now,
is going
next year-
out over the open ocean, you know. It's
I
not
love
going
it.
back in the city.
It's cleaning the air.
It's my favorite, one of my favorite vending spots ever.
Yeah.
And I don't make a lot of money because I'm kind of off in, on the beach.
Yeah, on the beach. But yeah, man, it is.
But
It's
I
a lot
have
of
a
fun
great
there.
time out there.
Yeah, broke
I'm
the
glad you're there with the
microphones down.
gazebo too, with the thing,
Yeah.
you guys. And the free spot is part of the whole thing. Like that's really who brings the value. You know, a lot of these people that have been coming here for so many years and putting their own balls and ass on the line to go out there and sell cannabis openly.
Right.
You know, that's the way it happened in the first place. Just some people who were willing to take that risk,
Right.
hold up the little sign saying,
Yeah, a few of these guys like Neil, right?
guess-
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So, but
Yeah, it
that
just takes an
continues to
idea.
this day. Yeah.
Just takes an idea, and then you tell a friend, and they have another idea to go with that idea, and
Yeah, and then soon enough, you have pretty much
insane.
the best damn farmers market on the planet. Like
Totally.
every fucking weed product you can imagine.
Totally.
And yeah, we do give away at least 10 pounds of weed to the audience. So
Fuck, I gotta start coming to more of your guys'
and
events.
it's a free hip hop show too.
Gone after that hash.
Ha ha ha
Fucking
ha.
was amazing.
Beautiful.
But it was after indica and top dabbing. Fuck.
Well, you know, we wanted to keep you high.
Shatter's amazing, bro.
Yeah, I can't let them go home straight.
Yeah, Johnny's got
Where
this,
were
this
you? BC,
serious
I think.
fire.
It's crazy how the dab hits are fucking like just like an indica.
Oh, aren't they insane?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you guys are amazing.
I could never
Yeah,
do
they're
it on
strong.
camera because I would be.
I was just saying, you guys
I
are.
couldn't hear you.
What you
Fuck,
do.
Vancouver's got bomb ass fucking weed.
My friends
yeah.
That's all there is
Dabs
to
are
it.
So small
Yeah.
for me.
There's no more like time machine catching up. It's already caught up. You guys are ahead right now.
Yeah, we're gonna quote
It's
you on
straight
that one.
choke.
The colored globe spotlight going on.
Well,
Yeah.
next time I'm gonna have some fresh frozen 90
remember-
micron.
Let me tell you a story.
rosin,
Let me tell you a
just
doobie
like-
story with Jay. He takes me to the freaking. I had these new Jordans. I just bought them at $224. I fucking loved them. They were the ball blacks, the last ones, right? And freaking Jay goes, I'm gonna take you down to the I'm gonna introduce you to all the vendors, weed vendors and everything like that, and you know they're gonna take care of you, I'm sure, Doobie. And I was like, we get the fuck down there, man, and fucking man, I go, thank you, man, so much. But I forgot it was raining season in Vancouver and fucking the mud, and I forgot that I had the Jordans on. I forgot I had my Jordans on.
Dump the Jordans. Yeah.
And then I looked.
You gotta scrape that
No,
shit
but
off.
Vancouver
later.
always takes care of me. But I'm just saying, fuck.
That was
They
our
were
first
just-
memory.
When I got back to LA, I got another pair from my sneaker dealer. But fuck, man, and Jay, I didn't want to say anything. I just thanked Jay because he hooked me up so good that I can't even explain. And that's it. I love him.
Well,
I love him. Yeah.
This is a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
put the floor down.
this year,
I'm already Jay.
Put the floor down.
this year and last year, we laid down some turf protector, which would also protect the Jordans, and I
That's
kept calling
right.
it the Jordan protector.
Jordan
I was just. I didn't mind though. I felt like Redman in Muddy Waters.
There you
So
go.
it was all good. So I felt good.
He's like, oh,
You know
I'm
what
like,
saying? I felt
oh.
gully. That's what's up, yo. I was feeling gully, yo. That's hip hop slang for all you little young ones out there. You know what I'm saying? Under 11 b-boys. It's all good. It's all good. We love you. Funk Dubious for the kids. Word up.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
for
But
your
fuck
new
yeah,
All
man.
right,
Jay,
well-
you showed me a good time, man. I had an amazing time, dude.
Always.
And remember? I just pushed me on stage. I go, when am I going on? And you go, now.
Right now.
I was like, 1, 2, 3, go. I was like,
Go.
thanks. And I was like, hey, ladies and gentlemen, Vancouver, I love you. And I just went right into fucking Super Hose, I think it was. Fuck.
Yeah, from Friday soundtrack.
Yeah, you guys are the best, man. Just
Yeah.
thank you, man. I never have a problem in Vancouver. This is
Thanks to you,
It's
man.
like Las Vegas out here for me, man.
Serious
Thank you
thanks
guys.
for coming on today, man. Big time. Everybody's got to check the shit out tomorrow.
Thank you.
Get to Sawasin if
Thank
you can. If not, we'll
Thank
try to
you.
get you some on
Thank
Pod
you.
TV.
Thank you guys. Thank
yeah,
you guys.
we appreciate having you here. I got to bring
Camel,
Carly.
thank you,
Where's
Matt. Thank
Carly
you.
in the house
Jay,
here
thank
because
you.
we got another event coming up next weekend called Dab Culture
Oh.
here at Cannabis Culture.
Dab culture.
That's right.
That's
And
right.
we're actually taking
Coming up next weekend?
We're taking over the parking
you
lot next door.
Yeah, next door. Are you?
So-
Hey, you don't even need to leave,
It's
dude.
not-
Come on.
There's a bunch of shit going on. It's actually
plane ticket.
It's actually 2 days. One day on Saturday we're taking over the parking lot next door. We got live
Full
blast
parking lot
blowing.
takeover.
We got food trucks and all that shit. And on Friday we have an infused chef dinner.
That's gonna be epic.
Fully infused. So there's tickets available for the infused chef dinner. They're only $40 for the dinner, and it's like a serious setup. It's
Serious.
Like, yeah, with all the
He's
the
like,
fixins,
look
and
at
it's
the guy
all
he's
infused
drilling
with
over here.
Cannabis.
He's getting
Yeah.
hungry.
So there's a limited number of tickets available. They're selling fast. So if you want one, you got to come down to Cannabis Culture, 307 West Hastings to get one, or contact us at I think at the store on the phone. You can actually put your name down and get a ticket if you can pay in person, later. Carly's unavailable? Oh, she's busy right now. Well, you know what? It's all good. If Carly can't come and talk about it, I just wanted to have her on to talk a little bit about what was happening with the event. It's going to be dope. There's a lot of stuff happening. There's not just the infused dinner and the parking lot party with the food trucks and the live glass blowing. There's also entertainment. There's going to be a whole hip-hop show for like 6 hours in the parking lot as well.
Marathon.
So
Look at this guy. He's just like, yeah, you're not leaving, are you?
Yeah.
Just stay the week.
And that's on July.
We got some weed for you.
July 26th
Make sure we'll
and
hook you up.
27th, Dab Culture. You can get
some fresh
the
colas.
information online right now on all of our Cannabis Culture properties and Pod TV stuff. And get your tickets down here at 307 West Hastings. So there we go. Yeah. This is nice stuff that Johnny's got. And it's sticky as shit. It's like your fingers afterwards. Mine are still sticking.
Sticking everything.
Yeah.
Organically grown, hung dried. It's in its sweating stages, so it's got a little bit of a little funk to it. It's still burping, so it's like day 14. I do all the stuff about active water, relative humidity, proper curing processes, how to control your humidity levels. Yeah, and we're day 14, so we're just seeing those flavors that just starting to cure and come out. Having some fun. You know what? And you remember those old days when you used to buy buddies to come in a stick? Yeah, old Thai stick days. We remember those days. And I'm like, shit, why am I trimming up my weed? I'm just going to leave it in a stick form for now. It makes me happy, right? Yeah, it wasn't that thick, but...
No.
Stick wasn't quite like that.
No, it wasn't dank.
No.
It wasn't gas. It was full of seeds. They wrapped it up. But you know what? We loved that in 1985.
I could never get that
Straight
shit.
from Thailand. That's all we got back in the
I couldn't
early
get that
80s.
shit on the island.
Really?
There was nothing like that. No, all we had was
I grew up in Poco, right? So we had all the
chunks of
hash and all the drugs.
Yeah. Black hash, though.
The black hash, Nova Scotia. Going back to the days, that was
Hot knife and
I was
hash,
11
man.
years old.
Hot
Nova
knives
Scotia,
on
the
the
hash
fucking
days.
stove.
The original Scorpion. Oh man, that old hash. I miss that flavor.
Oh, it's Montreal's hash, actually. So
Yeah, back east hash. There you go, bottle toke.
Yeah,
there
no.
you go.
This stuff.
Oh, who wasn't hot knife?
wholesale, yeah.
Who didn't have the burn of the hot knife on the chin?
Yeah. We had the actual Afghani hash. That shit was coming in military containers.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Jamaican gum. Oh my god. This shit going, blonde. Oh, yeah.
Montreal gum, too, and the honey oil
like
from
that?
there.
Look at us.
Who said that? You said that?
What?
Jamaican guys.
Jamaican gum. Brian's
said
like, you know.
Montreal
I got some. We used to get it in Ottawa.
You got some at home?
He's getting
Yeah.
on. He
I
goes,
still get some, from Montreal, Ottawa, or whatever.
Yeah.
well, that comes in on the planes because the
Jamaican
WestJet flies in.
I heard the story that the kids run through the plants and then they just scrape the resin off. Like
Beautiful.
The gum, just by rubbing, like when we were in Jamaica and went Orange Hill and we went for the hikes and stuff like that, we did a lot of stuff down there in the beginning.
That's why it's so
a lot
good.
of fun, but yeah,
It's half dead
I mean,
skin.
they just sit there rub plants and then how they hang
Love
them, and
that
it's funny
shit.
because
Yeah,
you look at how it
skin terps.
had red in the hairs, and when they take the weed, they cut down, they hang it, and you see the sand, red sand, blowing up into the resin as they hang this shit underneath these man-made huts with like just basically trees on top. It was actually pretty amazing to see how they cured their cannabis, and like we loved it, but you're like, why is it so red? It was actually, and then you get used to seeing it, and then the fields overlooking the oceans, and that's the best thing about Jamaica. It's surrounded by water, so I mean, it was just
Yeah.
yeah. So it was cool.
Well, we could rant and ramble on about
Let's talk
all
about
of our
weed.
flavors of cannabis, but I think we're gonna wrap this shit up.
We're gonna wrap this
'cause,
shit up?
We gotta that's
Wrap it up?
right, and
I got the munchies.
Yep.
Wrap it up like a doobie.
Appreciate having you guys on the show, big time, man. Huge
thanks for
time.
having
Seriously.
Thanks, buddy.
We'll get you
We're
back
good.
as soon as
You
possible.
take 'em out?
Love you guys, man. Peace. Yeah. All around.
That was awesome.
And we'll be back. We'll be
was
back.
my
We'll see you
first-
tomorrow.
my first
Thanks, man.
live
Big time.
show
Big
in the
time.
podcast. It was my first
Love you, man. Yeah, there we go. That's right. They love you too. They love you too. All right, Pod TV. We love you out there. Tune in this weekend. We'll have some shit for you over the weekend. Peace, man. Thanks for coming on.
The whole day there.
Love you, Pod TV. Drug peace.
You guys got a place for this?
brought to you by SunWest Genetics.
Hi there, welcome to the 420 Lifestyle Show. I'm Carly Marley. She's taking a dab. Thanks.
We can play the Sick Moose video.
Oh yes, Sick and Moose video. Let's play the Sick and Moose video.